$23,417. That's what you owe me for creating the perfect husband you're about to marry," my future mother-in-law announced, sliding a leather-bound invoice across her pristine marble kitchen island with the same precision she used to serve poison disguised as compliments. The itemized bill included everything from Julian's private tennis lessons at age 7, $4,200, to his Mandarin tutoring at 15, $8,000. Each line meticulously calculated to remind me that I was marrying above my station. But what Victoria Harrington didn't realize was that her perfect son had been planning this exact moment for months. The prenuptial agreement tucked in my purse contained a single clause that would cost her everything she held dear, and she'd signed it herself without reading it. My name is Sienna Reeves, and I sat in the Harrington Estates designer kitchen, staring at what could only be described as a masterpiece of maternal narcissism. My fiancé Julian sat beside me, his knuckles white as he gripped his coffee mug. Across from us, his mother Victoria presided over the morning like a general preparing for war, her perfectly highlighted hair catching the morning sun streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. "Mother," Julian's voice was deadly quiet, "please tell me this is some kind of sick joke." "Joke?" Victoria's laugh tinkled like expensive crystal. "Darling, I don't joke about investments. I've spent 28 years and considerable resources crafting you into premium husband material. Now that Sienna is benefiting from my efforts, it's only reasonable she compensate me." I flipped through the invoice, each page more absurd than the last. Orthodontia, $7,500. Essential for a photogenic smile. Ballroom dancing, $3,200. Critical for social functions. Even his childhood therapy was listed, $15,000. Emotional intelligence development for future relationship success. "You're charging me for your son's therapy?" I asked, incredulous. "That therapy made him emotionally available enough to maintain a relationship with you," Victoria replied smoothly. "You're welcome, by the way. The boy's father left him with abandonment issues that could have made him commitment phobic. I fixed that. His father died in a car accident when Julian was 12, I said flatly. Precisely. And I ensure he processed that trauma constructively." She turned to another page. "Awanda Swiss boarding school, $140,000. That's where he learned the refinement that attracted you in the first place." Julian stood abruptly. "The boarding school you sent me to because you couldn't be bothered to raise me after Dad died." "Don't be dramatic, darling. It was the best education money could buy." Victoria's smile never wavered. "Speaking of which, page 18 details your college expenses. Harvard doesn't come cheap, but it certainly paid off, didn't it, Sienna? You are marrying a Harvard man after all." My phone buzzed. A text from my lawyer, Marcus Chen. 10 minutes out. "Whatever she's doing, document everything. Trust me on this." I'd asked Marcus to be on standby after Victoria's ominous invitation to discuss wedding finances. After 2 years of her passive-aggressive comments about my middle-class background, my public school education, and my career as a veterinarian, such messy work for a woman, I knew better than to meet with her unprepared. "This is extortion," Julian said, his architect's mind cutting through to the heart of it. "You can't bill someone for raising your own child." "I'm not billing you, sweetheart. I'm billing your fiancé. She's receiving a finished product, a man trained in 7 languages, skilled in 3 instruments, knowledgeable about wines, comfortable in any social situation. That kind of cultivation has a price." "I fell in love with Julian because he's kind and funny and builds incredible things," I protested. "Not because he can order wine in French." Victoria's perfectly shaped eyebrow arched. "How quaint. But kindness doesn't open doors in society. Connections do. Education does. The right accent does. All things I paid for." The doorbell rang. Victoria frowned. She despised anything that disrupted her carefully orchestrated productions. Julian practically sprinted to answer it, returning with Marcus Chen, my law school friend who now specialized in family law with a side of destroying narcissists. "Mrs. Harrington," Marcus said pleasantly, setting his briefcase down with deliberate firmness. "I understand you're attempting to establish a debt obligation for child-rearing expenses." Fascinating legal theory. Victoria's eyes narrowed. "This is a private family discussion." "No, this is an attempted fraud," Marcus corrected, pulling out his tablet. But before we address your creative billing practices, let's discuss the prenuptial agreement you co-signed 3 months ago. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Victoria went very still. What prenuptial agreement? Julian smiled for the first time that morning. The one you insisted on, Mother. Remember? You wanted to protect the Harrington assets from gold diggers. I remember the agreement, Victoria said slowly. Standard asset protection. I reviewed every clause. Did you? Marcus asked innocently, because page 47, subsection 12b might have escaped your attention. Julian, would you like to explain? Julian leaned back in his chair. When you demanded a prenup to protect your precious family money, you were so focused on keeping Sienna from touching the Harrington trusts that you didn't notice the clause I added. The one that states if you attempt any financial manipulation or interference in our marriage, your entire stake in the family trust, including the estate, the investment portfolio, and your annual income, transfers immediately to a charity of our choosing. Victoria's face went from composed to chalk white. That's impossible. I would have noticed. You had 3 cosmetic procedures that week, Julian reminded her. You signed it post-Botox, pre-facial, during your Valium phase. Quite a signature, actually. Very loopy. Marcus pulled up the document on his tablet. Your signature is right there, notarized and witnessed. Legal as they come. But that's everything, Victoria whispered. $47 million. 49 with recent gains, Marcus corrected cheerfully, plus the estate valued at another $12 million. But let's circle back to this invoice, shall we? He pulled out another document. First, demanding payment for raising your child could constitute fraud. Second, I've cross-referenced these expenses with tax records. You claimed most of these as deductions, meaning you've already been compensated. That's definitely fraud. Third, billing someone for therapy necessitated by your own emotional neglect. That opens you up to counterclaims that would make your head spin. How dare you? I'm not finished, Marcus continued smoothly. This charge here, $2,000 for social integration training, which you describe as teaching Julian to, quote, associate with appropriate social circles despite unfortunate attachments. Given that this refers to his friendship with his scholarship roommate from a working-class background, we're venturing into discrimination territory. I found that section and read it. Victoria had literally tried to bill me for her attempts to make Julian snobby. And this, Marcus pointed to another line, $5,000 for dietary management. Your own notes indicate this was putting a 12-year-old on restrictive diets because you thought you looked puffy in family photos. That's child abuse, Mrs. Harrington. It was portion control. Victoria shrieked, her composure finally cracking. The Harrington men have slow metabolisms. You gave me an eating disorder, Julian said quietly. I was 12 and you had me counting calories. The kitchen fell silent except for the ticking of Victoria's obscenely expensive clock. So, Marcus said into the silence, you have 2 options. Option 1, withdraw this absurd invoice, apologize to both Julian and Sienna, and maintain some role in your son's life while keeping your assets. Option 2, pursue this claim and lose everything. Your money, your status, your son, and potentially your freedom when we file criminal charges. Victoria clutched the invoice to her chest. This isn't fair. I sacrificed everything for him. My figure, my career, my social life. You have 4 nannies, Julian interrupted. You saw me for scheduled dinners twice a week. Your biggest sacrifice was missing the Milan Fashion Week when I had pneumonia. I was building our legacy. You were building your image. Every lesson, every achievement, every polished edge. It was also you could brag at the country club. Julian stood, taking my hand. But here's the thing, Mother. Despite your best efforts to turn me into a Harrington drone, I became a person. A person who fell in love with a veterinarian who saves animals and doesn't give a damn about which fork to use. She wore jeans to the Pemberton Gala, Victoria wailed, as if this were a crime against humanity. And she looked beautiful, Julian said firmly. More beautiful than all the designer dresses in that room, because she was real. Victoria turned to me, desperation replacing arrogance. You don't understand what you're taking from him. The connections, the opportunities. I'm taking nothing, I said. I'm giving him something you never could. Unconditional love. No invoice attached. Marcus cleared his throat. Mrs. Harrington, I need an answer. Do you withdraw the invoice? Victoria looked between all of us, her perfectly made-up face showing real emotion for possibly the first time I'd seen. If I apologize, I keep everything. Your money, yes. Your son. That's up to him. She stood slowly, a showing through her carefully maintained facade. The invoice crumpled in her manicured hands. I withdraw the invoice. And I apologize for attempting to monetize motherhood. Not good enough, Julian said. Apologize to Sienna, properly, for everything. The comments about her background, her career, her family. All of it. Victoria's jaw worked like she was chewing glass. I apologize, Sienna, for my unkind remarks about your background and profession. They were inappropriate. And, Julian prompted, and you'll be a suitable wife for my son. It was probably the best we'd get. As we prepared to leave, Victoria called out, the wedding. Am I still invited? Julian turned back. That depends. Can you attend without making snide comments about Sienna's dress choice, the venue, the flowers, or the fact that we're serving barbecue instead of foie gras? Barbecue? Victoria looked faint. My dad's recipe, I added. He owns a food truck. He'll be catering. Victoria swayed. Marcus steadied her with obvious amusement. I'll try, she managed. Then you can come, but one comment, one single in my day, or at a proper wedding. And security will escort you out. And Marcus will be there, prenup clause in hand. We left Victoria standing in her perfect kitchen, surrounded by her perfect things, finally understanding that perfection can't be invoiced. In the car, Julian turned to me. I'm sorry about her, about all of this. Don't be, I said. At least now we have our something borrowed for the wedding. What? I held up my phone, showing the photo I'd snapped of the invoice. Borrowed insanity. We'll frame it for our bathroom. Nothing like starting each day remembering that our love is worth exactly $0 and infinite everything else. Marcus laughed from the backseat. You two are perfect for each other. No invoice required. 6 months later, Victoria attended our wedding. She wore beige to a colorful summer celebration, winced at the food truck, and physically bit her tongue when my dad gave a toast in his work boots. But she stayed silent, and that was progress. The trust fund remains intact, though Victoria now knows we could claim it any time she oversteps. It's been remarkably effective at maintaining boundaries. Last week, she sent us a housewarming gift for our new home. A simple card that said, "Congratulations," with no passive-aggressive additions. Julian called it a miracle. I called it evidence that even the most persistent narcissists can learn when their fortune depends on it. And the invoice? We did frame it. It hangs in our guest bathroom, a reminder that the best things in life, love, laughter, and partners who choose you over their toxic families, are absolutely free. No payment plans required.
The call came at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. I know because I was staring at my phone screen, watching the numbers glow in the dark when it started buzzing like an angry wasp. Layla. Oh God, Layla, you need to get here now. My name is Layla, and I've been the family emergency contact for as long as I can remember. Not because I'm the oldest. That's Reagan. Not because I'm the most successful. That would be Tyron, if you count charm as success. I'm the emergency contact because I'm the only one who actually answers the phone. Stacy? What's wrong? Mom's best friend was crying so hard I could barely make out the words. Your mother collapsed. We're at St. Mary's. The doctors. They said something about her heart. Surgery. Tonight. The world tilted. I was already pulling on jeans, grabbing my keys. How bad? Bad, honey. Real bad. I made it to the hospital in 12 minutes. Should have taken 20, but red lights don't matter when your mother might be dying. Stacy was pacing the waiting room, mascara streaked down her cheeks like war paint. Where is she? Surgery. Been in there 2 hours already. Stacy grabbed my hands. Layla, they need a decision on the procedure. It's experimental, but it's her only shot. Insurance won't cover it all. How much? 47,000. I didn't hesitate. Do it. Honey, that's... I said do it. I was already pulling out my phone, calling my bank's emergency line. My entire savings account. Gone. Just like that. But what else was I supposed to do? Let her die while we haggled over money? The surgery took 6 more hours. I called Reagan 4 times, Tyron 3. Reagan's phone went straight to voicemail, probably turned off for some yoga retreat or wine tasting. Tyron's girlfriend Kendra finally answered around noon. "Oh, hey, Layla. Tyron's at a client lunch. Is everything okay?" "Mom's in emergency surgery." "Oh no, is it serious?" I wanted to scream. Instead I said, "Just have him call me." They showed up around 4 p.m. when Mom was already in recovery. Reagan swept in wearing designer sunglasses and a concerned expression that looked practiced in the mirror. "How is she? We came as soon as we could." Tyron nodded along, checking his phone. "Traffic was insane. You know how it is. She's stable. The surgery went well, but recovery will take months." Reagan pulled me aside, lowering her voice like she was sharing state secrets. "Layla, you look exhausted. Maybe you should go home. Get some rest. We can handle things from here." "Handle what? You just got here." "I just think you might be overreacting a little. Mom's tough. She'll be fine." Overreacting. I'd been here for 14 hours, signed away my life savings, and held Mom's hand while she whispered about being scared to die. But sure, I was overreacting. "Someone needs to stay with her tonight." "The nurses can—" "I'm staying." Reagan exchanged a look with Tyron, the kind of look that said, "There she goes again," being dramatic. They left around 6, promising to come back tomorrow. I pulled a chair next to Mom's bed and watched her breathe. The machines beeped steadily, a mechanical lullaby that should have been comforting, but just reminded me how close we'd come to losing her. Around midnight, she stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and confused. "Layla." "I'm here, Mom." "What happened?" I explained everything gently. The collapse, the surgery, the recovery ahead. She squeezed my hand with surprising strength. "You saved my life." "The doctors saved your life. I just made sure they could." She was drifting back to sleep when my phone buzzed. A text message. I almost ignored it, but the preview made my blood freeze. It was from Tyron to Reagan. I could see it because we were all in a family group chat, but this message wasn't meant for the group. He'd sent it to the wrong thread. "Reagan, you were right. Layla's totally monopolizing this whole thing. Classic attention-seeking behavior. Mom probably just had heartburn and Layla turned it into a medical emergency. We should probably stage an intervention about her drama addiction, LOL. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. My mother was lying in a hospital bed, tubes snaking from her arms, because her heart had literally stopped working. I'd emptied my bank account to save her life, and my siblings thought I was being dramatic. I screenshotted the message before Tyron realized his mistake and deleted it. Some mistakes you can't take back. Some words, once spoken, change everything. I was about to learn just how true that was. 3 weeks later, I was living at Mom's house. Not by choice, by necessity. She couldn't lift her arms above her shoulders, couldn't remember to take her medications, couldn't even shower without help. The woman who raised 3 kids was suddenly helpless as a newborn. I'd taken unpaid leave from my non-profit job. My boss wasn't thrilled, but what choice did I have? Reagan lived 40 minutes away and had work commitments. Tyron was launching some new business venture that required his full attention. So it was me. Always me. "Layla, can you help me with this pill organizer?" Mom called from the kitchen. I found her staring at 7 bottles of medication like they were written in hieroglyphics. Heart pills, blood thinners, pain management, anti-nausea. The pharmacy had given us a chart, but Mom's hands shook too much to open the child-proof caps. Here, let me. I sorted the pills into the weekly dispenser, same routine we'd done every morning for 3 weeks. Remember, the blue ones are twice a day. I know, honey. I'm not senile, but she was forgetting things. Little things at first, where she put her reading glasses, whether she'd eaten lunch. Then, bigger things. Yesterday, she'd asked me 3 times when Reagan was coming to visit. Reagan hadn't been by since the hospital. My phone buzzed. A text from Reagan. Family dinner Sunday at my place, 2 p.m. Bring Mom if she's feeling up to it. Reagan's invited us for dinner Sunday. Mom's face lit up. Oh, how wonderful! I haven't seen the kids in so long. The kids. Reagan was 34, Tyron was 30, but in Mom's mind, they were still her babies who could do no wrong. Sunday came. I helped Mom get dressed, did her hair, made sure she had her medications. She was excited, chattering about seeing everyone. I drove us to Reagan's pristine suburban house, the one she'd bought with her marketing executive salary. Reagan answered the door in a flowing sundress, looking like she'd stepped out of a lifestyle magazine. Mom, you look wonderful. She hugged Mom carefully, like she might break. Layla, thanks for bringing her. Tyron was already there with Kendra, his girlfriend of 2 years. Kendra gave me a genuine smile and a hug. She was one of the few people in this family who seemed to actually like me. How are you holding up? She whispered. I'm managing. Dinner was perfectly orchestrated. Reagan had made Mom's favorite, pot roast with all the fixings. The table was set with the good china. Everything looked normal, happy even. But I noticed things. How Reagan directed all her conversation toward Mom, barely acknowledging me. How Tyron kept checking his phone. How they asked Mom about her recovery, but never asked me about the daily reality of caring for her. So, Mom, Reagan said, cutting her meat into precise pieces, we've been thinking about your long-term care situation. What do you mean? Mom asked. Well, you can't live alone anymore, and Layla can't put her whole life on hold indefinitely. I set down my fork. Excuse me? I'm just saying, we need to think practically about what's best for everyone. What's best for everyone is Mom getting the care she needs. Of course, but there are professional options, assisted living facilities with trained staff. Mom looked confused, glancing between us. I don't want to go to a home. It's not a home, Mom. It's independent living with support services. I want to stay in my house. Reagan's smile never wavered. We all want that, but we have to be realistic about what's sustainable. Sustainable for who? I asked. For you, Layla. You're burning yourself out. It's not healthy. Tyron finally looked up from his phone. Reagan's right. You've been pretty intense about this whole thing. There was that word again. Intense. Someone has to be intense. Someone has to actually take care of her. We're all taking care of her, Reagan said smoothly. Just in different ways. What ways? When was the last time either of you even called her? Layla, Mom said quietly. Don't start a fight. I'm not starting anything. I'm just asking when they last. You're being dramatic again, Tyron said. We're here now, aren't we? Dramatic, intense, overreacting. They're favorite words for me. The rest of dinner passed in strained politeness. Reagan talked about work. Tyron shared stories about his new business. Mom smiled and nodded, happy to have her whole family together. As we were leaving, Reagan pulled me aside. "Layla, I know this is hard, but you need to think about your own future too." "My future is fine. Is it? You've used up all your savings, taken unpaid leave. What happens when Mom needs more care than you can provide?" "We'll figure it out." "Will we? Or will you just expect us to pick up the pieces when you finally burn out?" I stared at her. "Pick up the pieces? You haven't picked up anything." "That's not fair, isn't it?" She sighed like I was a difficult child. "Just think about what I said, okay?" I drove Mom home in silence. She dozed in the passenger seat, exhausted from the social effort. When we got to her house, I helped her inside and settled her in her recliner. "That was nice," she said. "It's good when we're all together." "Yeah, really nice." My phone buzzed as I was getting Mom's evening medications ready. A text from Tyron to Reagan. Again, sent to the wrong thread. "She's totally lost it. Did you see how defensive she got? We need to do something before she completely takes over Mom's life." I screenshotted that one too. Some patterns, once you see them, you can't unsee. 2 days later, I was sitting in Beau's law office, staring at a stack of papers I'd forgotten I even had. My ex-boyfriend turned lawyer had always been good at keeping records, even when we were dating, especially the important ones. "You're sure these are legally binding?" I asked. Beau adjusted his glasses and flipped through the documents. "Completely. Medical power of attorney, financial guardianship, healthcare proxy, all signed, witnessed, and notarized the night of her surgery. I filed them with the hospital and the county clerk the next morning." "But Reagan said she has power of attorney." "She might have something, but it doesn't override this. These were signed first, when your mother was of sound mind, before any medical procedures. Whatever Reagan has would be secondary at best." I remembered that night clearly now. Mom had been groggy but alert after they moved her from recovery. Beau had shown up with the paperwork, explaining it was just precautionary, in case decisions needed to be made quickly. "Smart thinking," he'd said then. "Medical emergencies move fast. Better to have everything in order." I'd been so focused on Mom's recovery that I'd completely forgotten about the legal side. But Beau hadn't. "The question is," he said now, "what do you want to do with this information?" "I don't know yet." "Well, you should know that someone tried to access your mother's medical records yesterday. The hospital called me when they were denied." My stomach dropped. "Who?" "Reagan. She claimed to have power of attorney and wanted to schedule some kind of neurological assessment." "A what?" "Cognitive evaluation, usually ordered when there are concerns about someone's mental capacity." The pieces clicked together like a puzzle I didn't want to solve. "She's trying to prove Mom's not competent." "That would be my guess. If she could establish diminished capacity, she might be able to challenge your guardianship." "Can she do that?" "She can try, but these documents are solid, and your mother was clearly competent when she signed them. Plus, you have 3 weeks of medical records showing consistent, appropriate care decisions." I stared out his office window at the parking lot below. A normal Tuesday afternoon, people going about their normal lives while mine was quietly exploding. "Beau, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." "Shoot! If I wanted to, let's say, make things difficult for Reagan and Tyron, what could I do?" He leaned back in his chair. "Legally, you have complete authority over your mother's care and finances. You could restrict their access, make all medical decisions, control visitation if you deemed it necessary for her well-being. And they couldn't stop me, not without a court order, and to get that, they'd have to prove you're acting against your mother's best interests. Given that you've been her primary caregiver for weeks, that would be a tough sell. I nodded slowly. I need copies of everything. Layla, what are you thinking? I'm thinking my siblings have been playing games they don't know I can win. He printed out copies of all the documents, organized them in a neat folder. Be careful. Family law can get ugly fast. It's already ugly. That evening, I was helping Mom with her physical therapy exercises when her phone rang. She struggled to reach it, so I answered. Hello. Layla, it's Reagan. Can I talk to Mom? She's doing her exercises right now. It'll just take a minute. I handed Mom the phone and continued guiding her through her arm stretches, but I could hear Reagan's voice clearly through the speaker. Mom, I wanted to let you know I've arranged for a doctor to come see you tomorrow. Just a routine checkup. Mom looked confused. But I just saw Dr. Martinez yesterday. This is a different kind of doctor, a specialist, to make sure your mind is staying sharp after the surgery. My mind is fine. Of course it is. This is just precautionary. Layla doesn't need to be there. I can handle it. I took the phone. What kind of specialist? A neurologist. Just standard follow-up care. Mom doesn't need a neurologist. Her cardiologist cleared her cognitive function weeks ago. Layla, this isn't your decision to make. Actually, it is. Silence on the other end. Then. What do you mean? I mean all of Mom's medical decisions go through me. I have legal guardianship. That's not... We have power of attorney. You have what, exactly? Another pause. We'll discuss this later. She hung up. Mom looked at me with worried eyes. What's happening? Nothing you need to worry about. Just some paperwork confusion. But it wasn't confusion. It was war. And they'd just fired the first shot. My phone buzzed 20 minutes later. A text from Tyron. Emergency family meeting tomorrow night. Mom's house, 7 p.m. I texted back. Can't do 7. Mom has her evening routine. This is important. So is her medication schedule. Layla, stop being difficult. I turned off my phone and helped Mom get ready for bed. Tomorrow was going to be interesting. Some battles you see coming from miles away. Others sneak up on you in the quiet moments when you're just trying to take care of the people you love. This one had been building for weeks. I was finally ready to fight it. They showed up at Mom's house like a delegation. Reagan carried a leather portfolio, Tyron had his laptop, and even Kendra was there, looking uncomfortable in the corner. Mom sat in her recliner, confused about why everyone seemed so serious. So, Reagan began, settling into the couch like she was chairing a board meeting. We need to address this guardianship situation. What situation? Mom asked. The hospital says Layla has legal authority over your medical care. We were under the impression that we had power of attorney. I was folding Mom's laundry, keeping my hands busy. You were under the wrong impression. Reagan opened her portfolio and pulled out a document. Actually, we have this. She handed it to Mom. You signed it 3 weeks ago at the rehabilitation center, remember? Mom squinted at the paper. Maybe? I was so tired then. You were recovering from major surgery, I said, barely conscious half the time. She was conscious enough to sign, Tyron said, finally looking up from his laptop. We have witnesses. Who? The orderly you probably tipped $20? Reagan's smile was razor sharp. The facility social worker and a nurse, both trained to assess cognitive capacity. I stopped folding. Funny thing about cognitive capacity, the hospital has records showing Mom was on heavy pain medication that entire week. Opioids affect decision-making ability. That's not... Also funny how you waited until I wasn't there to get it signed. We didn't plan it that way, Tyron said. It just worked out. Right. Just like it worked out that you tried to schedule a neurological evaluation without telling me. Reagan's composure cracked slightly. That was legitimate medical care. No, that was you trying to prove Mom's incompetent so you could override my guardianship. Mom looked between us, her face pale. What's happening? Why are you all fighting? We're not fighting, Mom, Reagan said gently. We're just trying to figure out what's best for your care. I pulled the folder from my purse and set it on the coffee table. Here's what's best. Legal guardianship, filed the night of Mom's surgery, when she was alert, before any medications, with proper witnesses. Reagan grabbed the documents, scanning them quickly. Her face went white. This can't be right. Bo filed them with the hospital and county clerk. They supersede anything you got signed later. Bo, your ex-boyfriend? Bo the lawyer, who actually knows what he's doing. Tyron leaned forward. Layla, this is insane. You can't just take over Mom's life. I'm not taking over anything. I'm taking care of her, like I have been for a month while you two were busy with your work commitments. That's not fair, Reagan said. We've been supportive. Supportive? When? When you showed up 4 hours late to the hospital? When you suggested putting her in a home? When you tried to have her declared mentally incompetent? We never... The neurological evaluation, Reagan. What was that for? She was quiet for a long moment. Then, we were concerned about her memory issues. What memory issues? She's been confused lately, forgetting things. She's recovering from major surgery. Of course, she's tired and forgetful. It's more than that, Tyron said. Last week she called me 3 times asking the same question. I looked at Mom, who was staring at her hands. What question? She wanted to know when you were coming home. I told her you were living here now, but she kept forgetting. My chest tightened. Mom? I get confused sometimes, she said quietly. About what day it is, or whether I took my pills. But I'm not losing my mind. Of course you're not, I said. You're healing. Reagan stood up, pacing to the window. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're not seeing the bigger picture, Layla. What happens when she needs more care than you can provide? We'll figure it out. How? You've already used up your savings. You're not working. What's your long-term plan? My plan is to take care of our mother. That's not a plan. That's martyrdom. The word hit like a slap. Excuse me? You heard me. You're so busy being the hero that you can't see you're in over your head. I stood up slowly. Get out. Layla, get out of my mother's house. It's not your house, Tyron said. It's Mom's. And I'm her legal guardian, which means I decide who's welcome here. Reagan gathered her papers. Fine, but this isn't over. Actually, it is. You want to challenge my guardianship? Go ahead. Take it to court. Explain to a judge why you tried to manipulate a post-surgical patient into signing documents while she was on pain medication. We were protecting her interests. You were protecting your own interests. There's a difference. They filed out without saying goodbye to Mom. Kendra lingered at the door. For what it's worth, she said quietly, I think you're doing the right thing. After they left, Mom and I sat in silence. The house felt hollow, like something had been broken that couldn't be fixed. Did I do something wrong? Mom asked. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Then why are they so angry? I looked at her, really looked at her, frail, confused, dependent on me for everything from medications to meals. But still, my mother. Still the woman who'd raised us, loved us, sacrificed for us. Because they wanted control, and they don't have it. Do you want control? The question caught me off guard. I want you to be safe and cared for. That's not the same thing. No, it wasn't. But it was all I had. The next few weeks felt like living in a house made of glass. Every conversation with Mom was careful, measured. She'd started asking strange questions. Layla, did you really spend all your money on my surgery? Don't worry about that, Mom. But Reagan said you might resent me for it later. I looked up from sorting her medications. When did Reagan say that? Yesterday. Or maybe it was Tuesday. She called while you were at the grocery store. Reagan had been calling. A lot. Always when I wasn't around. Always asking Mom how she was feeling, if she needed anything, if I was taking good care of her. What else did Reagan say? Mom's face scrunched up, trying to remember. She said you've been under a lot of stress, that maybe I should consider other options for care. What kind of options? I don't remember exactly. Something about professional help. I finished organizing the pill dispenser, my hands steady even though my heart was racing. Mom, do you want professional help? I want to get better. I want to stop being such a burden. You're not a burden. Reagan says... I don't care what Reagan says. The sharpness in my voice made Mom flinch. I immediately felt guilty. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to snap. Reagan doesn't live here. She doesn't see how much progress you're making. But was she making progress? Some days were good. Mom would remember to take her morning pills, could shower with minimal help. Other days she'd ask me the same question 5 times, or forget we'd already eaten lunch. Thursday afternoon, Stacy knocked on the door. Mom's best friend had been coming by regularly, bringing groceries and gossip from the neighborhood. How's our patient today? She asked, settling into the kitchen chair with a cup of coffee. Good days and bad days, I said. That's normal after what she's been through. My sister had heart surgery 2 years ago. Took her 6 months to feel like herself again. Mom shuffled into the kitchen in her slippers. Stacy, I didn't know you were coming. I called this morning, remember? Said I'd bring those magazines you like. Mom looked confused. You did. Stacy and I exchanged glances. It's okay, Stacy said gently. I brought them anyway. After Mom went to take her afternoon nap, Stacy pulled me aside. Layla, I need to tell you something. Reagan came by yesterday. Here. No, my house. Said she was worried about your mother's memory issues. Asked if I'd noticed anything concerning. My stomach dropped. What did you tell her? The truth. That Yolanda seems tired and forgetful, but nothing unusual for someone recovering from major surgery. Stacy paused. But there's something else. She asked about your mother's finances. What about them? Whether she was still managing her own bills, making financial decisions. Reagan seemed very interested in who had access to the bank accounts. Did you tell her anything? I told her it wasn't my business, but Layla, she was taking notes. That evening, I called Beau. They're building a case, he said after I explained, trying to establish a pattern of cognitive decline. But Mom's fine. She's just recovering. I believe you, but if they can get enough people to say she's confused, forgetful, making poor decisions, they could challenge the guardianship. Exactly. Have you noticed any unusual financial activity? Missing money? Unpaid bills? I pulled out Mom's checkbook and bank statements. Everything looked normal at first glance. Then I saw it. A monthly automatic withdrawal I didn't recognize. There's something here. $500 a month to RC Consulting. When did that start? I flipped through older statements. About 8 months ago. What's RC Consulting? I'll look into it. In the meantime, you might want to check if there are any other accounts or financial arrangements you don't know about. The next morning, I went through Mom's desk while she was at physical therapy. In the bottom drawer, I found a folder labeled Financial Planning. Inside were documents I'd never seen, investment accounts, a second checking account, and a contract with RC Consulting. Reagan's signature was on everything. The contract was for financial management services. Reagan had been taking $500 a month to oversee Mom's retirement planning. But there was no evidence of any actual planning, just monthly withdrawals. I photographed everything and called Beau immediately. This is elder financial abuse, he said, after I sent him the photos. Reagan's been siphoning money from your mother under the guise of financial planning. For 8 months, $4,000 so far. And look at the signature date on your mother's authorization. It's from right after her diagnosis, when she was scared about her health. She took advantage of Mom being scared. That's exactly what she did. The question is, what do you want to do about it? I was still processing when Mom came home from therapy, exhausted and shaky. How was it? I asked. Hard, but the therapist says I'm improving. She sat down heavily in her recliner. Layla, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think I'm losing my mind? The question broke my heart. Why would you ask that? Reagan keeps asking if I remember things. Yesterday she wanted to know if I remembered signing some papers about money. I told her I didn't, and she looked so worried. What papers? I don't know. She said it was important, but I couldn't remember. Mom's eyes filled with tears. What if something's really wrong with me? I knelt beside her chair and took her hands. Mom, there's nothing wrong with your mind. You're healing from a major surgery. It's normal to be tired and forgetful. But Reagan said, Reagan's been lying to you. The words came out harder than I intended. Mom stared at me in shock. What do you mean? I showed her the financial documents. She's been taking money from your account. $500 every month for financial planning that never happened. Mom studied the papers, her hands trembling. I don't understand. She convinced you to sign these when you were scared about your health. Then she used them to steal from you. That can't be right. Reagan wouldn't. Reagan would, and she has been. Mom was quiet for a long time, staring at the documents. When she finally looked up, her eyes were different, clearer. What do we do? For the first time in weeks, she'd said, we. We fight back. I spent the weekend building a case like I was preparing for war. Bank statements, medical records, phone logs, everything organized in neat folders on Mom's dining room table. Beau had walked me through what we'd need to file a formal complaint, Elder financial abuse is a felony, he'd explained, but you'll need solid documentation. I had it. $4,000 in unauthorized withdrawals, contracts signed under duress, and a pattern of manipulation that went back months. Monday morning, I was reviewing everything one more time when Mom's landline rang. "I'll get it," Mom said, reaching for the phone. "Actually, let me." I'd been screening her calls all weekend. "Layla, it's Reagan. I need to speak with Mom." "She's resting. It's important. There's been a development with her care situation." "What kind of development?" "I'd rather discuss it with her directly." "Well, I'd rather you discuss it with me, since I'm her legal guardian." A pause. "Fine. I've arranged for a care assessment. A social worker is coming Thursday to evaluate Mom's living situation." My blood went cold. "You did what?" "It's standard procedure when there are concerns about an elderly person's welfare." "What concerns?" "Neighbors have reported seeing Mom wandering outside in her nightgown. Stacy mentioned she seems confused and forgetful. There are questions about whether she's receiving adequate care." "That's complete bullshit, and you know it." "Language, Layla. This is about Mom's safety. This is about you trying to get control back." "The social worker will make that determination, Thursday at 2 p.m. She hung up. I immediately called Beau. "Can she do this?" "Anyone can request a welfare check. But if the social worker finds no evidence of neglect or abuse, it goes nowhere. And if they do find something, then we have a problem." I spent the next 3 days preparing. The house was spotless, Mom's medications perfectly organized, her medical records up to date. I coached Mom on what to expect. "Just be yourself," I told her. "Answer their questions honestly." "What if I forget something?" "Then you forget something. That's normal. But..." I was terrified. What if Mom had one of her confused days? What if she couldn't remember taking her medications or got flustered and said something that sounded concerning? Thursday arrived grey and drizzling. The social worker, Ms. Patterson, showed up exactly at 2 p.m., a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a clipboard. "I'm here to do a routine wellness check," she explained. "Just want to make sure everyone's doing okay." She interviewed Mom first, asking about her daily routine, her medications, how she was feeling. Mom did well, answering clearly and calmly. "And how would you describe your relationship with your daughter, Layla?" "She's been wonderful. I don't know what I would have done without her." "Do you feel safe in her care?" "Of course. She takes such good care of me." Then Ms. Patterson wanted to speak with me, privately. "Your mother seems well cared for," she said. "The house is clean, her medications are properly managed, and she appears to be in good spirits." Relief flooded through me. "So, we're okay?" "Well, there is one concern. I received some troubling information about financial irregularities." My stomach dropped. "What kind of irregularities?" "Allegations that you've been mismanaging your mother's finances, large unauthorized withdrawals, unpaid bills." "That's not true. I'm required to investigate any financial abuse allegations. Do you have access to your mother's bank accounts?" "Yes, but..." "And have you made any large withdrawals recently?" "Only for medical expenses and household needs." She made notes on her clipboard. "I'll need to see financial records going back 6 months. I brought out the folders I'd prepared, including the RC consulting documents. Actually, I think you should see this." Ms. Patterson reviewed everything carefully. Her expression grew more serious as she read. These show regular unauthorized withdrawals by someone named Reagan. Is that a family member? My sister. She's been taking $500 a month under the pretense of financial planning. Does your mother know about this? She does now. Reagan convinced her to sign the authorization when Mom was scared about her health diagnosis. Ms. Patterson made more notes. This is concerning. Have you reported this to the authorities? I was planning to file a complaint this week. I'd recommend doing that immediately. This appears to be a clear case of elder financial abuse. She closed her folder. As for the welfare check, I see no evidence of neglect or inadequate care. Your mother is fortunate to have such a dedicated caregiver. After she left, I called Beau immediately. She's filing a report recommending no action on the welfare complaint, I told him, but she wants us to pursue the financial abuse case. Good. I'll start the paperwork today. Beau, there's something else. Reagan somehow knew about the social worker visit before I did. She's the one who requested it. That's not unusual. Family members often... No, you don't understand. She knew exactly what questions would be asked, what concerns would be raised, like she'd done this before. A long pause. What are you thinking? I'm thinking Reagan's been planning this for a lot longer than we realized. That evening, Mom was unusually quiet during dinner. Finally, she spoke. Layla, I need to tell you something. What is it? Reagan came by yesterday while you were at the pharmacy. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. She... what? She said she was worried about the social worker visit, that they might try to separate us. What else did she say? Mom's hands were shaking. She said, if I really loved you, I'd go to a care facility voluntarily, so you could get your life back. And what did you tell her? I told her I wanted to stay with you, that you were taking good care of me. Mom looked up with tears in her eyes. But she said you were just being nice, that deep down you resented having to take care of me. Mom, that's not true. She said you'd never tell me because you're too kind, but that I was ruining your life. I reached across the table and took her hands. Look at me. You are not ruining my life. Taking care of you is not a burden. It's what family does. But your job, your savings, can be replaced. You can't. Mom started crying then, and I moved around the table to hug her. Over her shoulder, I saw my phone lighting up with text messages. 3 missed calls from Reagan, 2 from Tyron. The war was escalating. Friday morning, my phone rang at 6 a.m. Tyron's name flashed on the screen. Layla, I need your help. His voice was shaky, desperate. I sat up in bed, instantly alert. What's wrong? I lost my job. The startup folded. I'm completely screwed. I'm sorry, but I know we haven't been getting along, but you're family. I need to borrow some money, just until I get back on my feet. I almost laughed. Tyron, I don't have any money. Remember? I spent it all on Mom's surgery while you were at client lunches. Come on, you must have something. A credit card, savings account. I have $17 in checking and maxed out credit cards. What about Mom's accounts? You have access now, right? There it was, the real reason for the call. Are you seriously asking me to steal from our mother? It's not stealing if it's for family. Mom would want to help. Like she wanted to help when Reagan was taking $500 a month. Silence. Then, what are you talking about? RC Consulting. Reagan's been siphoning money from Mom for 8 months. That's not possible. I have the bank statements, the contracts, all with Reagan's signature. Another long pause. Layla, you don't understand. Reagan was trying to protect Mom's assets. By stealing them? By managing them properly. Mom was making bad financial decisions after her diagnosis. Reagan stepped in to help. Help herself to $4,000. It wasn't like that. Then, what was it like, Tyron? Look, I can't get into this right now. I need money. Can you help me or not? No. Fine, but don't expect me to back you up when Reagan takes this to court. He hung up. An hour later, Kendra knocked on the door. She looked exhausted, her usual put-together appearance replaced by wrinkled clothes and no makeup. Can we talk? She asked. I let her in, making coffee while she sat at the kitchen table. Mom was still sleeping upstairs. Tyron told me about the phone call, she said. I'm sure he did. Layla, there's something you need to know about Reagan and the money. I set down her coffee cup. I'm listening. Tyron's known about the RC consulting thing for months. He's been getting a cut. My blood went cold. What? $200 a month. Reagan told him it was for family coordination services, helping manage your mom's care from a distance. He's been stealing too. Not exactly. He genuinely thought it was legitimate. Reagan showed him documents, explained how it was all legal and above board. But you didn't believe it. Kendra shook her head. I work in accounting. I know what elder financial abuse looks like. But Tyron wouldn't listen. He said Reagan knew what she was doing. Why are you telling me this now? Because Reagan's planning something big. She came by last night after Tyron called you. They had a huge fight. About what? About you. Reagan's furious that the social worker didn't find anything wrong. She's convinced you somehow manipulated the situation. How could I manipulate a professional assessment? That's what Tyron asked. Reagan said you're smarter than they gave you credit for, that you've been playing some kind of long game. I almost laughed. The only game I've been playing is keeping our mother alive and healthy. I know that. But Reagan doesn't see it that way. She thinks you orchestrated this whole thing. The guardianship, the financial evidence, everything, to cut them out and take control of your mom's assets. What assets? Mom's retirement savings? Her social security? Reagan seems to think there's more. Life insurance policies, property investments. She's been going through your mom's papers. When? Yesterday, while you were at the grocery store. She has a key, my hands clenched around my coffee cup. She's been in this house? Multiple times, looking for financial documents, legal papers, anything she can use. That's breaking and entering. Not if she has permission from the homeowner. She doesn't have permission from me, and I'm the legal guardian. Try proving that in court. Reagan's smart, Layla. She's been building a case that you're the one manipulating your mom. The sudden guardianship, the financial control, isolating her from family. I'm not isolating anyone. They're the ones who stopped visiting. I know. But Reagan's spinning it differently. She's telling people you won't let them see their mother. I felt the walls closing in. What else did she say? She's planning to file for emergency guardianship. Claims your mom is being held against her will by someone with financial motives. That's insane, is it? Think about it from an outside perspective. You suddenly have complete control over a vulnerable elderly woman's life and finances. Your siblings are cut out entirely. It could look suspicious. But I have documentation. The original guardianship papers, the evidence of Reagan's theft. Reagan's claiming those documents were forged, that you manipulated your mom into signing them when she was medicated and confused. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Emergency guardianship hearing scheduled for Monday 9 a.m. County Courthouse. You are required to appear with the ward. I showed Kendra the message. It's starting, she said quietly. Kendra, why are you helping me? Tyron's your boyfriend. Because I've watched you take care of your mom for 2 months. I've seen how much you love her, how hard you work to make her comfortable and happy. And I've watched Reagan and Tyron treat this whole thing like a business transaction. She stood up, gathering her purse. There's one more thing. Reagan hired a lawyer, someone who specializes in elder abuse cases. To prosecute her own case? No, to prosecute yours. After Kendra left, I sat in the quiet kitchen, staring at my phone. Monday was 3 days away. 3 days to prepare for a fight that could determine everything. Upstairs, Mom called for help with her morning medications. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. Good morning, she said brightly. Did I hear voices downstairs? Just Kendra stopping by. That's nice. She's such a sweet girl. Mom paused, studying my face. You look worried. Is everything okay? I looked at this woman who'd raised me, loved me, trusted me with her life. In 3 days, I might lose the right to protect her. Everything's fine, Mom. Let's get your pills sorted out. Some battles you fight for principle, others you fight for survival. This one was both. Monday morning arrived like a funeral. I helped Mom into her best dress, the navy blue one she'd worn to my college graduation. Her hands shook as I fastened her pearl necklace. I don't understand why we have to go to court, she said for the 3rd time. It's just a formality, to make sure you're being taken care of properly. But you are taking care of me properly? I know. We just have to prove it to a judge. The courthouse was intimidating. Marble floors, high ceilings, the kind of place that made you feel small. Beau met us at the entrance, carrying a briefcase that looked like it weighed 50 pounds. How are we looking? I asked. Good. I've got everything organized. Bank records, medical files, witness statements. Witness statements? Stacy, your mom's physical therapist, even the social worker who did the wellness check. They're all willing to testify about the quality of care you've been providing. We found seats in the courtroom. Across the aisle, Reagan sat with a man in an expensive suit. Her lawyer, I assumed. She looked polished and professional in a charcoal business suit. Tyron sat behind her, avoiding eye contact. The judge was younger than I'd expected, maybe mid-40s, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. This is a petition for emergency guardianship, she began, filed by Reagan Bennett on behalf of her mother, Yolanda Bennett. The petitioner claims the current guardian is acting against the ward's best interests. Reagan's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, we have evidence that Ms. Layla Bennett has isolated the ward from her family, made questionable financial decisions, and may have obtained guardianship through fraudulent means. That's a serious allegation. What evidence do you have? The guardianship documents were signed during a medical emergency when the ward was heavily medicated and not of sound mind. Ms. Layla Bennett has since used this authority to cut off the ward's other children from participating in her care. Beau stood up. Your Honor, we have extensive documentation showing that the guardianship was properly obtained and that Ms. Layla Bennett has provided exemplary care for her mother. I'd like to hear from the ward herself, the judge said. Mrs. Bennett, how do you feel about your current living situation? Mom looked tiny in the witness chair, but her voice was steady. I'm very happy living with Layla. She takes wonderful care of me. Do you feel isolated from your other children? No, Your Honor. They're welcome to visit any time. They just choose not to. Reagan's lawyer tried a different approach. Mrs. Bennet, are you aware that your daughter Layla spent her entire life savings on your medical care? Yes. Do you think that might create resentment or pressure you to feel grateful? Mom's back straightened. Layla saved my life. If that creates pressure, it's the pressure to get better so I can be worthy of her sacrifice. But don't you think your other children might be better equipped to handle your long-term care needs? No, I don't. The lawyer looked frustrated. Mrs. Bennet, are you aware that there have been irregularities in your financial accounts? Yes, my daughter Reagan has been stealing from me. The courtroom went dead silent. Reagan's face went white. I'm sorry, what did you say? The judge asked. Reagan convinced me to sign papers when I was scared about my heart condition. She said it was for financial planning, but she was just taking my money. $500 every month. Beau stood up. Your Honor, we have documentation of this financial abuse. He handed over the bank statements and contracts. Reagan's lawyer was scrambling. Your Honor, my client was providing legitimate financial services. What services? The judge asked, studying the documents. I see withdrawals, but no evidence of any actual financial planning or investment management. We can provide, Your Honor, Beau interrupted. We also have evidence that the petitioner attempted to have the ward declared mentally incompetent through fraudulent means, including coaching her on what to say to medical professionals. He played a recording from Mom's security system. Reagan's voice was clear. Mom, when the doctor asks about your memory, tell him you've been confused lately. It's important for your care. The judge's expression hardened. Ms. Reagan Bennet, please stand. Reagan stood shakily. Based on the evidence presented, it appears you have engaged in elder financial abuse and attempted to manipulate medical assessments. I'm dismissing your petition for guardianship and referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for potential criminal charges. Your Honor, please. Furthermore, I'm issuing a restraining order. You are not to contact the ward or enter her residence without supervision. Reagan's lawyer was packing up his briefcase. We'll appeal this decision. You're welcome to try, but I suggest you focus on preparing for the criminal investigation. Outside the courthouse, Tyron approached us hesitantly. Layla, I'm sorry. I didn't know how bad it was. Yes, you did. You just didn't care as long as you were getting paid. I know I screwed up. Is there any way we can— No, there isn't. He walked away without another word. Mom took my arm as we headed to the car. I'm proud of you, she said. For what? For fighting for me, for not giving up when it got hard. You're my mother. Of course I fought for you. Not everyone would have. She was right. Not everyone would have, but I wasn't everyone. I was her daughter, and that meant something. Stacy was waiting at the house with a casserole and a bottle of wine. How did it go? We won, Mom said simply. More than one, I added. Reagan's facing criminal charges. Good. It's about time someone held her accountable. That evening, Mom and I sat on the porch watching the sunset. She was stronger now, more like herself. The confusion was mostly gone, replaced by a quiet determination to get better. Do you regret it? She asked suddenly. Regret what? Everything. The money, the job, taking care of me instead of living your own life. I thought about it honestly. My savings were gone, my career on hold, my relationship with my siblings destroyed. But looking at Mom, healthy and safe and home where she belonged, I knew my answer. No, I don't regret it, but I'll never call it justice either. Just necessary. Mom nodded, understanding. Some things you do because they're right. Others you do because you're the only one who will. The difference matters less than you'd think.
Get a real job, Laura. My mother's voice still echoes in my head 3 weeks later, that condescending laugh trailing behind her words like cheap perfume. My name is Laura, and I'm 29 years old. 3 weeks ago, I thought I was going home for a simple family barbecue. Instead, I walked into what felt like a public execution. I should have known something was off when Mom positioned herself right next to the patio table where all my aunts and uncles were sitting. She had that look, you know the one? The same expression she wore when she'd corner me about my grades in high school, except now I was an adult and she was about to humiliate me in front of the entire extended family. "Laura's still playing dress-up online?" she announced to everyone within earshot, gesturing at me with her wine glass. "Selling used clothes on the internet like it's some kind of career." Uncle Mike looked up from his burger. "Oh, like eBay?" "Exactly like eBay," Mom said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "I keep telling her she needs to get serious about her future. She's almost 30. My sister, Ella, perched on the edge of her chair in her perfectly pressed blazer, because who wears a blazer to a backyard barbecue, decided to pile on. "It's basically an Etsy-level hustle," Ella said, not even looking up from her phone. "I mean, it's cute as a hobby, but Laura, you can't live off of thrift store finds forever." "The worst part?" Everyone nodded, like they were all in on some joke I wasn't getting. "What exactly do you do, sweetie?" Aunt Patricia asked, and I could hear the pity in her voice. I opened my mouth to explain, but Mom cut me off. "She buys clothes from thrift stores and resells them online for a few dollars more. It's not exactly rocket science." The table went quiet for about 2 seconds before Uncle Mike chuckled. "Well, at least she's entrepreneurial." "Entrepreneurial," Mom repeated like the word tasted sour. "That's one way to put it." I felt my face burning. Here I was surrounded by people who'd known me since I was 5 years old, and they were all looking at me like I was some kind of charity case. "Actually," I started, but Ella was already talking again. "The thing is, Laura never finished fashion school. She dropped out junior year and just never really figured out what she wanted to do with her life." "I didn't drop out," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. "I left to start my business." "Right," Ella said, finally looking up from her phone with that smile that never reached her eyes. "Your business?" The way she said it made my stomach twist, like I was delusional, like I was a child playing pretend. Mom leaned forward. "Honey, you're not a real adult until you have a real job. Playing dress-up isn't going to pay for retirement." I wanted to scream. I wanted to pull out my phone and show them the notifications that had been pinging all afternoon. Order confirmations, payment receipts, messages from stylists asking about custom pieces. Instead, I just sat there, nodding along like the family disappointment they all thought I was. The conversation moved on to Ella's latest promotion at her law firm, and I spent the rest of the afternoon invisible, watching my sister bask in praise while I picked at my potato salad. I left early claiming I had a headache. Nobody seemed surprised. The drive back to my apartment was a blur of anger and humiliation. I kept replaying every word, every dismissive laugh, every pitying look. By the time I got home, I was exhausted. My penthouse, yes, penthouse, felt like a sanctuary after that disaster. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture that cost more than most people's cars, and in the corner, the organized chaos that was my real life. Shipping boxes stacked to the ceiling, a professional photography setup, and 3 phones charging on my desk, all buzzing with notifications. I poured myself a glass of wine and watched the numbers roll in on my laptop screen. Another $15,000 day. Not bad for someone who plays dress up for a living. That's when I saw it. Ella had posted on Instagram while I was driving home a photo of her and my cousin Yasmin, both of them laughing at something off camera. The caption made my blood run cold. So excited for Yasmin's engagement party next month. Can't wait to celebrate with all the successful people in our family. Family first. Winners. I stared at that post for a full minute, reading it over and over again. All the successful people. I wasn't invited. I set my wine glass down and walked over to my desk, where all 3 phones were lighting up like a Christmas tree. One notification caught my eye, a DM from a stylist I'd worked with before. Hey girl, need 12 pieces for a Netflix shoot next week. The usual suspects want your eco-luxury line. Budget is $50K. Can you deliver? I screenshotted it and almost sent it to the family group chat out of spite. Almost. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up the real numbers, the ones that would make my mother's wine glass slip right out of her manicured fingers. Revenue this quarter, $1.2 million. Profit margin, 68%. Projected annual, $8 million. Playing dress up, I muttered, clicking through to my business dashboard. My phone rang. Justin, my business partner, probably calling about tomorrow's influencer shipments. Please tell me you're not spiraling over your family again, he said without even saying hello. How did you? Because you only work past midnight when you're pissed off, and I can see your online approving orders. I laughed despite myself. They didn't invite me to Yasmin's engagement party. The cousin who actually likes you? That's the one. Ouch. What's the plan? I pulled up Ella's Instagram again, studying that smug caption. I'm going anyway. Laura, no, listen. Remember that white dress we featured last month? The one that went viral on TikTok? The custom piece? Yeah, some lawyer girl made a whole video about how it was goals but probably fake designer. That lawyer girl was my sister. Silence on the other end. She doesn't know it's my brand, I continued. None of them do. They think I'm selling thrift store clothes on Facebook Marketplace. Holy shit. Exactly. I could hear Justin typing in the background. Okay, I'm looking at the video now. She has opinions. She said it was trying too hard to be high fashion and that real designers don't need to be so obvious. While wearing a blazer from Target. I confirmed. So what's the plan? Show up in the dress and blow their minds? I was already pulling up my inventory system, scrolling through the pieces I had in stock. Better than that, I'm going to give them a show they'll never forget. I love it when you get diabolical. My email pinged with a new message. I glanced at the sender and nearly dropped my phone. Justin, I have to go. I just got an email from Angelina. Angelina from college? The one who works for that huge fashion conglomerate now? Head of influencer marketing, I said, opening the message, and she wants to meet. About what? I scanned the email quickly. There's an influencer gala next month. She wants to discuss a potential partnership. That's huge, Laura. It gets better. Look who's sponsoring the event. I clicked through to the event page and found the list of corporate sponsors. Blair and Company. Should I know that name? That's my mother's company. She's been working there for 15 years. The pieces were falling into place in my head like a perfectly curated outfit. The engagement party, the gala, the dress, the reveal, it was all connected. Justin, I need you to pull together a presentation, something that shows our growth, our partnerships, our revenue. Make it look professional. How professional are we talking? Boardroom professional, like I could buy your company professional. I can have it ready by tomorrow. After we hung up, I walked over to my closet. And by closet, I mean the converted bedroom that housed my personal collection. Rows and rows of pieces I designed, curated, and created over the past 4 years, each one telling a story my family had never bothered to listen to. I pulled out the white dress, the one Ella had mocked in her TikTok. It was even more beautiful than I remembered, hand-beaded silk with a subtle geometric pattern that caught the light just right. The kind of dress that whispered wealth instead of screaming it. My phone buzzed with a text from Yasmin. "Hey, I know things are weird with your mom and Ella right now, but I really wish you could be at the party. It won't be the same without you." I stared at that message for a long time. Yasmin had always been different from the rest of them. She'd never made me feel small or stupid or like I was wasting my life. When I left fashion school, she was the only one who'd asked if I was okay instead of telling me I was making a mistake. I typed back, "Congratulations on the engagement. I'm so happy for you." What I didn't type, "Don't worry, I'll be there." I had 3 weeks to plan the perfect entrance, 3 weeks to turn years of humiliation into the most satisfying moment of my life. I opened my laptop and started typing an email to Angelina. "I'd love to discuss the partnership opportunity. When can we meet?" 2 days later, I was sitting in a trendy coffee shop across from Angelina, trying not to smirk as she scrolled through my portfolio on her tablet. "This is incredible work, Laura. I had no idea you were behind all of this." "Most people don't," I said, sipping my oat milk latte. "Your sustainable luxury angle is exactly what we're looking for. The influencer space is saturated with fast fashion partnerships, but this—" She gestured at the screen. "This is different." "Different how?" "Authentic, high-end but accessible, and your numbers are insane." She looked up at me. "How are you not already working with major brands?" "I prefer to stay under the radar." "Well, that's about to change. The gala is in 3 weeks, and I want you as our featured sustainable fashion partner. We're talking about a keynote presentation, a booth, meet and greets with industry executives." My phone buzzed with a notification, Instagram. I glanced down and saw Ella had posted another story. "Excuse me for 1 second," I said to Angelina, opening the app. Ella was showing off her walk-in closet, panning across racks of clothes while talking to the camera. "So I'm putting together my mood board for Yasmin's wedding looks, and I'm literally obsessed with this brand I found. Look at these pieces." She held up her phone showing screenshots of outfits, my outfits, from my brand. The attention to detail is insane, and the sustainability aspect is so important to me. I'm actually thinking of reaching out to see if they'd do a custom collaboration. I nearly choked on my coffee. "Everything okay?" Angelina asked. "Perfect," I managed. "Actually, better than perfect." After our meeting, I called Justin immediately. "You're not going to believe what just happened. Try me. Ella wants to collaborate with us. She has no idea it's my brand and she wants to work with us. No way. I'm looking at her story right now. She's showing off pieces from our spring collection like they're her personal discoveries. This is too good. What are you thinking?" I was already walking toward my car, my mind racing. "I'm thinking we give her exactly what she wants, a custom collaboration. And then? And then we name the collection after her." "Laura, that's brilliant." "I know." I got home and immediately pulled up Ella's Pinterest boards. She had dozens of them. Wedding guest looks, professional wardrobe goals, date night outfits. I scrolled through hundreds of pins and my jaw dropped. More than half of the images were pieces from my brand. She'd been unknowingly obsessing over my designs for months. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Justin. "Holy shit," he texted back immediately. "She's basically been advertising for you for free. It gets better. Look at this." I found her Dream Collaboration Brands board. Right at the top was a pin of one of my signature pieces with the caption, "If I could work with any sustainable fashion brand, it would be this one. The aesthetic is everything." My phone rang. This is insane, Justin said. She's literally your biggest fan and she doesn't even know it. I want to create a limited collection. Call it the ER collection. ER, Emergency Revenge, but we'll market it as Elevated Refined. You're diabolical. I'm just getting started. Can you set up a business email account? Something professional sounding. I want to reach out to her directly. On it. What's the plan? I pulled up Ella's contact form on her law firm's website. I'm going to offer her exactly what she wants, a custom wardrobe collaboration, full styling package, professional photos, social media campaign, everything. And she'll say yes because she doesn't know it's you. She'll say yes because she's been dreaming about this for months. I spent the next hour crafting the perfect email, professional but friendly, exclusive but not desperate. I attached a mood board featuring pieces I knew she'd already pinned, plus a few new designs I've been working on. Dear Ella, I typed, we've been following your content and love your aesthetic. We'd like to offer you an exclusive collaboration opportunity with our upcoming ER collection. This would include a custom wardrobe package, professional styling consultation, and social media partnership. We believe your sophisticated style aligns perfectly with our brand values. I hit send before I could second guess myself. My phone buzzed with a text from Yasmin. I feel terrible that you're not invited to the party. I tried talking to your mom, but she said it was Ella's decision since she's planning it. Don't worry about it, I texted back. I understand. What I didn't text, I'll be there anyway, and it's going to be spectacular. 20 minutes later, my business email chimed with a response from Ella. OMG, yes, I've been obsessed with your brand for months. This is literally a dream come true. When can we set up a call? I stared at that email for a full minute, then forwarded it to Justin. She took the bait, I texted him. Hook, line, and sinker, he replied. This is going to be epic. I opened my calendar and started planning. 3 weeks to pull off the most satisfying revenge in fashion history. Game on. The night of Yasmin's engagement party, I sat in my G-Wagon outside the venue for 10 minutes, watching guests stream through the entrance. Designer dresses, expensive suits, the kind of crowd that would normally make me feel invisible. Not tonight. I checked my makeup one last time in the rearview mirror. The white dress fit like it was painted on, because technically it was custom made for my exact measurements. The same dress Ella had called trying too hard in her TikTok review 6 months ago. My phone buzzed with a text from Justin. Photographer is in position. You ready for this? Born ready, I typed back. I stepped out of the car and handed my keys to the valet, who did a double take at the vehicle. The photographer Justin had hired was positioned perfectly across the street, capturing every moment as I walked toward the entrance. The venue was stunning, a rooftop garden with string lights and city views. I could see why Yasmin had chosen it. Through the glass doors, I spotted familiar faces, aunts, uncles, family friends. And there, holding court near the bar, was Ella in a black cocktail dress that probably cost more than most people's rent. I took a deep breath and walked inside. The first person to notice me was my cousin Marcus, who nearly dropped his drink. Laura? Holy shit, you look different. I smiled, accepting the champagne flute a server offered me. Expensive, he said, still staring, like really expensive. Other guests were starting to turn and look. I could hear whispers starting to ripple through the crowd. Is that Nicole's daughter? The one who sells clothes online? She looks incredible. I made my way through the party, nodding politely at relatives who suddenly seemed very interested in talking to me. But I had my sights set on one person. Ella was standing by the bar, scrolling through her phone, while her husband talked to some guy about golf. She looked up as I approached, and I watched her expression shift from confusion to recognition to something I couldn't quite read. Laura? she said, her voice carefully neutral. I didn't know you were coming. Surprise, I said, raising my champagne glass. Love your dress, by the way. Very classic. Thanks. She looked me up and down, and I could practically see the wheels turning in her head. Your dress is, wow. Where's it from? Oh, this old thing. I smoothed down the silk. It's vintage, from my favorite sustainable fashion brand, actually. Ella's eyes narrowed slightly. Which brand? Before I could answer, Yasmin appeared beside us, looking stunning in a rose gold dress that complemented her engagement ring perfectly. Laura! She threw her arms around me, and for a moment I felt genuinely happy to be there. You came? I'm so glad. I wouldn't miss celebrating you, I said, squeezing her back. Congratulations, Yas. You look absolutely radiant. Thank you. And you look... She stepped back, taking in my appearance. I mean, wow. You look like you stepped off a red carpet. She does clean up nice, Ella said, but there was an edge to her voice. Alfred, Yasmin's fiancé, joined our little group. Ladies, you all look fantastic. Yasmin, your family has excellent taste. This is my cousin Laura, Yasmin said. Laura, this is Alfred. Pleasure to meet you, Alfred said, shaking my hand. Yasmin's told me so much about you. You're in fashion, right? Something like that, I said. Ella snorted. She sells thrift store clothes online? The dismissive tone in her voice was exactly what I'd been waiting for. I smiled sweetly at her. Actually, I've been meaning to thank you, Ella. Thank me for what? Your TikTok review of this dress. You said it was trying too hard to be high fashion and that real designers don't need to be so obvious. Ella's face went pale. What? You reviewed this exact dress 6 months ago. Don't you remember? You said the brand was probably fake designer. I pulled out my phone and found the saved video, turning the screen toward her. There she was, holding up a photo of the dress I was currently wearing, critiquing every detail. That's not, Ella stammered. Oh, but it is, I said, my smile never wavering. Same dress, same brand, the one you've been obsessing over on Pinterest for months. Yasmin looked confused. I don't understand. Your sister has been unknowingly promoting my brand on social media, I explained. In fact, she just signed a collaboration deal with us last week. Ella's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. That's impossible, she whispered. Is it? I pulled up my business email on my phone and showed her our correspondence. You said working with us was literally a dream come true. The color drained completely from Ella's face as she read her own enthusiastic responses. You're, she started, the owner of the brand you've been fangirling over? Yes? Alfred looked between us, clearly lost. I'm sorry, what's happening here? Laura owns a fashion company, Yasmin said slowly, pieces clicking into place. Not just any fashion company, I said. A multi-million-dollar sustainable luxury brand that your sister here has been accidentally advertising for free. The conversation around us had gone completely silent. I could feel eyes turning toward our little group, sensing drama in the air. Ella was still staring at my phone screen, reading her own emails. This can't be real. Oh, it's very real, I said, tucking my phone back into my clutch. In fact, I have a little engagement gift for the happy couple. I raised my voice slightly, making sure nearby guests could hear. Yasmin, Alfred, as my gift to you both, I'd like to offer a $200,000 custom wardrobe sponsorship for your honeymoon. My brand would love to style you for whatever destination you choose. The silence that followed was deafening. Someone's fork clinked against their plate. A server stopped mid-step, clearly eavesdropping. 200,000? Alfred repeated, his voice cracking slightly. Dollars, I confirmed with a smile. It's the least I can do for family. Yasmin's mouth was hanging open. Laura, I don't understand. How do you have that kind of money? Before I could answer, my mother appeared beside us like a storm cloud in designer shoes. What's going on here? Nicole demanded, her eyes scanning the group. Why is everyone staring? Mom, Ella said weakly, Laura just offered Yasmin $200,000. For what? A wardrobe sponsorship, I said pleasantly, for my fashion company. Nicole's laugh was sharp and dismissive. Laura, this isn't the time for your little fantasies. Fantasies? I pulled out my phone again, opening my banking app. Would you like to see my quarterly revenue report? Stop it, Nicole hissed. You're embarrassing yourself. Am I? I turned the phone screen toward her. Because this shows I cleared $1.2 million in the last 3 months alone. The number was right there in black and white. Nicole's eyes went wide, then narrowed with suspicion. That's fake, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Is it? I swiped to another screen. Here's my business account. Here's my investment portfolio. Here's the contract I just signed for a keynote presentation at next month's Fashion Forward Gala. More guests were gathering around us now, drawn by the commotion. I recognized several faces from the barbecue, the same relatives who'd pitied me 3 weeks ago. Uncle Mike pushed through the crowd. What's all the excitement about? Laura's claiming she's a millionaire, Nicole said, her voice tight with embarrassment. Not claiming, I corrected, stating there's a difference. This is ridiculous. Ella finally found her voice. You can't just show up here and what? Tell the truth? I looked around at the gathered crowd. 3 weeks ago at Uncle Mike's barbecue, you all sat there while my mother told me to get a real job. You laughed when Ella called my business an Etsy-level hustle. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I could see some people pulling out their phones, probably Googling my brand name. You said I wasn't a real adult, I continued, looking directly at my mother. You said playing dress-up wasn't a career. You said I'd be 30 and broke. Laura, please, Yasmin said quietly. This is my engagement party. You're right, I said, softening my tone for her. I'm sorry, Yas. This isn't about you. I turned back to my mother and sister. But since we're all here, let me clear something up. I'm 29 years old, and I built a multi-million-dollar company from nothing. No help from family, no co-signers, no safety net. That's impossible, Nicole said. I would have known. Would you? When was the last time you asked me about my work? Really asked, not just dismissed it? The crowd was getting larger. I could see people whispering, pointing, taking photos. This was exactly what I'd wanted, a public reckoning. The dress I'm wearing right now, it's from my brand. The same dress Ella made a TikTok about, calling it fake designer. The same brand she's been obsessing over on Pinterest for months. The same brand she just agreed to collaborate with because, and I quote, it was literally a dream come true. Ella looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. So here's what's going to happen, I continued. I'm going to honor that collaboration agreement. The ER collection launches next month, featuring pieces inspired by Ella's own wish list. ER stands for Elevated Refined, but between us it also stands for Emergency Revenge. You can't do this, Nicole said, her voice shaking with rage. Actually, I can and I am. I smiled at the crowd. Oh, and Mom, you might want to check with your company's board about the Fashion Forward Gala. Blair & Company is a major sponsor, and I'm the keynote speaker. Nicole's face went white. That's not possible. Want to bet? I pulled up Angelina's email and showed her the speaker confirmation. Looks like your daughter's finally going to be successful enough for your company's standards." The crowd erupted in whispers and gasps. Someone started clapping slowly, then others joined in. I finished my champagne and set the glass on a nearby table. "Congratulations again, Yasmin. You deserve all the happiness in the world." I kissed her cheek and walked toward the exit, leaving my family standing there in stunned silence while the party buzzed with excitement around them. My phone was already lighting up with notifications as I reached the door. The show was just getting started. I made it exactly 3 blocks before my phone started ringing nonstop. The first call was from Justin. "Holy shit, Laura, it's everywhere." "What's everywhere?" "Someone live streamed the whole thing on Instagram. The video already has 50,000 views, and it's been 20 minutes. I pulled over and opened Instagram. Sure enough, there it was. A shaky phone video titled "Family Drama at Engagement Party Goes Viral." The comments were already pouring in. "This is the most satisfying thing I've ever seen." The sister's face when she realized "that dress is stunning." What's the brand name? Plot twist of the century. My phone buzzed with a text from Ella. "We need to talk. Now." Then another from my mother. "Come home immediately. This is unacceptable." I was about to put my phone on silent when Yasmin's name popped up. "Laura, please call me. I'm so confused and hurt right now." That one hit different. I pulled into a parking lot and called her back. "Yas, I'm so sorry. I never wanted to ruin your night." "You didn't ruin it," she said, but I could hear tears in her voice. "Why didn't you tell me? About the business, about the money, about everything." "Because every time I tried to talk about my work, someone in the family shut me down. It was easier to just disappear." "But I never shut you down. I always asked about your business." She was right. Yasmin had always been different. "I know. I should have told you. I was just so tired of being the family joke that I stopped trusting anyone. Even me. Especially you, because you were the only one whose opinion actually mattered to me." There was silence on the other end for a moment. "The $200,000 offer," she said finally. "Was that real?" "Completely real, if you want it." "Laura, that's insane. I can't accept that." "Why not? It's a business expense for me and your family." "Because it feels like you're trying to buy forgiveness?" That stung because it was partially true. "Maybe I am," I admitted, "but also because I love you and I want your honeymoon to be perfect. I need time to think about all this." After we hung up, I drove home in silence. My penthouse felt different somehow, less like a sanctuary and more like a fortress I'd built to keep everyone out. I poured myself a glass of wine and opened my laptop. The engagement party video had been reposted across multiple platforms: TikTok, Twitter, even Reddit. Someone had created a thread called "Woman Reveals Multi-million-dollar Business at Family Party After Years of Being Mocked." The comments were overwhelmingly supportive, but a few stood out. "This feels fake. Who just casually offers $200K? Rich people problems. Must be nice. The family sounds toxic, but this seems like overkill." My phone rang. Ella's name flashed on the screen. "What do you want?" I answered. "I want to understand what the hell just happened." "You want to understand? You spent years making me feel like garbage, and now that you know I'm successful, suddenly you want to understand? That's not fair, isn't it? You literally said my business was an Etsy-level hustle in front of the entire family." "I didn't know." "You didn't know because you never bothered to ask. None of you did. So this is revenge? Humiliating us in public? This is consequences, Ella, for years of treating me like I was worthless." "We never said you were worthless." "You didn't have to say it. You showed it every single day." There was a long pause. "The collaboration," she said finally. Are you really going through with it? Why wouldn't I? You signed the contract. Because it's based on a lie. What lie? You love the brand. You've been promoting it for free for months. The only thing that's changed is that you know who owns it. It's different now. How? Because it's you. And that's the problem, isn't it? It was fine when you thought it was some mysterious designer you could never meet. But now that you know it's your little sister who plays dress up for a living, suddenly it's not good enough. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. I hung up and immediately got another call. This time it was my mother. Laura Marie, you get home right now? I am home, Mom, in my penthouse that I bought with my fake business. Don't be smart with me. You embarrassed this entire family tonight. I told the truth. If that's embarrassing, maybe you should examine why. You're being dramatic and childish. I'm being honest. For the first time in years, if you don't fix this situation, there will be consequences. Like what? You'll disown me? Stop talking to me? Exclude me from family events? I laughed. Mom, you've already been doing all of that. I mean it, Laura. If you use our family name in any of your business ventures, I will sue you. Our family name? You mean the name I've been building a reputation with while you told everyone I was a failure? I'm warning you. I hung up and turned off my phone. The wine tasted bitter now. Outside my floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sparkled like diamonds. But all I could think about was Yasmin's voice when she asked why I hadn't trusted her. Maybe revenge wasn't as sweet as I'd imagined. 2 weeks later, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, applying the final touches of makeup for the fashion-forward gala. The black silk gown I'd chosen was understated elegance. No need to scream wealth when you were about to do it with words. Justin knocked on my bedroom door. Car's here. You ready for this? As ready as someone can be for corporate warfare and couture. The presentation looks incredible, by the way. Angelina's team loved the final version. I grabbed my clutch and headed for the door. Did you confirm my mother's company placement? Blair and Company has a VIP table right in front of the stage. She'll have a perfect view of your keynote. The gala was being held at the city's most exclusive hotel. Red carpet paparazzi, the works. As our car pulled up, I could see photographers lined up behind velvet ropes. Remember, Justin said as we stepped out, you're not Laura the family disappointment tonight. You're Laura the CEO. The first person I spotted inside was Angelina, looking stunning in an emerald green gown. Laura, you look absolutely incredible. She air-kissed both my cheeks. Are you nervous? Should I be? Only if you're not ready to have every major fashion house in the country trying to poach you after tonight. We made our way through the cocktail reception. I recognized faces from fashion magazines, influencers with millions of followers, executives from brands I'd grown up admiring. And there, at a table near the front, sat my mother. Nicole was wearing a navy blue dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. Her hair perfectly styled, her smile frozen in place as she made small talk with her colleagues. She hadn't seen me yet. Laura! A voice called out behind me. I turned to see Marcus, my cousin from the engagement party, approaching with a huge grin. Marcus, what are you doing here? I work in PR for one of the sponsor companies. Had to see this keynote everyone's been talking about. He looked around the room. This is insane. I mean, I knew you said you had a business, but this is not what you expected? Not even close. Mom's been telling everyone about the engagement party. Half the family thinks you're some kind of genius. The other half thinks you're having a breakdown. Which half do you fall into? The genius half, definitely. That thing you did to Ella was legendary. A server approached with champagne. I took a glass, needing something to steady my nerves. Ladies and gentlemen, the host's voice echoed through the ballroom, please take your seats. We'll be beginning our keynote presentation in 5 minutes. My stomach fluttered. This was it. I made my way backstage where Angelina was waiting with a microphone pack. "You've got this," she said, clipping the mic to my dress. "Just remember, you're not selling yourself to them. They need you more than you need them." The lights dimmed in the ballroom. I could hear the host introducing me, listing my company's achievements, revenue figures, sustainability awards. When he said my name, there was genuine applause. I walked onto the stage, the spotlight hitting me immediately. The audience was a sea of faces, but my eyes went straight to my mother's table. Nicole was sitting perfectly still, her champagne glass halfway to her lips, staring at me like she was seeing a ghost. "Good evening," I began, my voice carrying clearly through the room. 3 years ago, I was told that playing dress-up wasn't a real job, that I needed to get serious about my future, that I was wasting my life selling clothes online. A few chuckles from the audience. My mother's face had gone pale. Tonight, I'm here to talk about the future of sustainable fashion and how a company that started with thrift store finds is now partnering with Netflix productions, styling A-list celebrities and generating 8-figure annual revenue. The presentation screen behind me lit up with my company's logo, followed by a slideshow of celebrity clients, revenue charts, and sustainability impact data. "We've diverted over 2 million pounds of textile waste from landfills. We've created jobs for over 300 artisans worldwide. And we've proven that sustainable fashion doesn't have to sacrifice style or profitability." I clicked to the next slide, a photo of the white dress I'd worn to the engagement party. This dress generated over 50 million social media impressions in a single week, not because of paid advertising, but because someone filmed me wearing it to a family event. Laughter rippled through the audience. I could see people pulling out their phones, probably looking up the viral video. That's the power of authentic storytelling. When you create something people genuinely love, they become your advocates without even realizing it. I spent the next 20 minutes walking through case studies, partnership opportunities, and future projections. When I finished, the applause was thunderous. As I walked off stage, I passed directly by my mother's table. She was sitting frozen, her colleagues leaning in to whisper questions about how she knew me. I stopped right beside her chair and leaned down. "Funny how karma always ends up in couture, huh, Mom?" Her champagne glass trembled in her hand, but she didn't say a word. I straightened up and walked away, leaving her to explain to her board of directors how the keynote speaker was her daughter, the one she'd been calling a failure for years. The morning after the gala, I was sitting by my pool in a silk robe, sipping coffee and scrolling through the flood of partnership offers in my inbox when Yasmin texted me. "Can you come over? There's something you need to know about Ella." I threw on jeans and a t-shirt and drove to Yasmin's apartment. She answered the door looking exhausted, still in pajamas at noon. "You look like hell," I said, following her to the kitchen. "I've been up all night thinking about everything." She poured herself coffee with shaking hands. "Laura, I need to show you something." She pulled out her laptop and opened Instagram. "After your keynote went viral, Ella posted this." The post was a carousel of photos, Ella in various outfits, all from my brand with a long caption. "I've always been inspired by sustainable fashion and supporting small businesses. So excited to announce my collaboration with this amazing eco-luxury brand. I've been a fan for months and can't wait to share this journey with you all. Sustainable fashion, small business, collaboration." "She's trying to spin it," Yasmin said, like she was always supportive. Of course she is. I scrolled through the comments. Hundreds of people calling her out, posting screenshots from the engagement party video. But that's not the worst part. Yasmin clicked to her messages. Look at what she sent me privately. The DM was long and desperate. Yash, you have to help me. This whole thing is ruining my reputation. People are calling me fake and jealous. Can you talk to Laura about toning down the revenge angle? Maybe we can all just move past this. I'll split the collaboration fee with her if she helps me save face. I stared at the message. She wants to split the fee for wearing clothes from my own company? It gets worse. Yasmin showed me another message. She's been DMing other family members, trying to get them to pressure you into being the bigger person. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. We need to talk. Meet me at the house in an hour. Don't go, Yasmin said immediately. Why not? Because I think they're planning something. Ella's been calling everyone, and your mom left 3 voicemails on my phone asking about your mental state. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. My mental state? She's trying to build a case that you're having some kind of breakdown, that the success went to your head. Unbelievable. My phone rang. Justin. Laura, we have a problem. Someone's been calling our business partners, claiming to be your family and saying you're going through a difficult time and that any recent decision should be reconsidered. Let me guess, my mother and your sister. They called Angelina's company this morning trying to get your keynote contract canceled. What did Angelina say? She told them to go to hell, but more professionally. She also said 3 major brands want to meet with you this week. I hung up and looked at Yasmin. I'm going to end this. How? By giving them exactly what they want. I spent the rest of the afternoon working with Justin on a new project. By evening, we had everything ready. I posted a single Instagram story. Big announcement coming tomorrow. The ER collection is getting a rebrand. The next morning, I went live on Instagram from my office, wearing a simple black blazer and the biggest smile I could manage. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to address some recent family drama that's been making headlines. The viewer count was climbing rapidly, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people watching. Some people have suggested that my recent success has gone to my head, that I'm having some kind of breakdown. So I've decided to rebrand the ER collection. I held up a new design mock-up. ER no longer stands for Emergency Revenge. It now stands for Everyone Rises. This collection will be dedicated to supporting women entrepreneurs who've been told their dreams aren't realistic. The comments were going crazy. For every piece sold, we'll be donating 50% of profits to a new foundation supporting women-owned businesses. Because the best revenge isn't bringing people down, it's lifting others up while you climb. I ended the live stream and immediately got a call from Yasmin. That was brilliant, she said. You just turned the whole narrative around. I'm tired of being angry, Yas. It was eating me alive. What about your mom and Ella? What about them? They can keep trying to tear me down, but I'm done playing their game. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Ella. Can we please talk? I deleted it without responding. That evening, I was back by my pool watching the sunset paint the city gold. My phone showed 17 missed calls from family members, but I turned off the ringer. The Everyone Rises collection had pre-sold $2.3 million worth of inventory in 6 hours. I raised my wine glass to the skyline and smiled. I used to want them to say sorry, I said to no one in particular. Now I just want them to keep watching. My phone lit up with a notification, another order, another woman supporting women. I took a sip of wine and got back to work.
The key turned in the lock for the first time, and I swear I felt something shift in my chest. 10 years. 10 years of ramen dinners, second-hand furniture, and saying no to every invitation that cost more than $20. But here I was, standing in the doorway of my own home. My name is Sandra, and at 33, I'd finally done it. The mortgage papers were signed, the deed had my name on it, and nobody could take this away from me. The house wasn't much, a modest 2-bedroom in a decent neighborhood, but it was mine. Well, don't just stand there gawking. My mother's voice cut through my moment. We're getting cold out here. I stepped aside to let them in. Mom, my brother Forrest, and his fiancée Jayla filed past me into the living room. I'd invited them for dinner to celebrate, thinking maybe this time would be different. Maybe this time they'd actually be proud of me. It's smaller than I expected, Jayla said, running her finger along the mantelpiece like she was checking for dust. But I guess it's cozy. It's perfect for Sandra, Forrest added, that patronizing tone he'd perfected since childhood. Not everyone needs a big place, right? I forced a smile. The kitchen's through here. I made your favorite, Mom. That casserole with the... It's a shame you bought this house, Mom interrupted, settling into my new armchair like she owned it. We really needed that money for Forrest's wedding. The words hit me like a slap. I stood there, oven mitt still on my hands, staring at her. Excuse me? Well, you know how expensive weddings are these days, she continued, not even looking at me. And Forrest's been counting on family support. I just think it's selfish to spend all that money on yourself when your brother needs help. Forrest shifted uncomfortably. Mom, we didn't ask. You shouldn't have to ask, she snapped. Family helps family. That's what we do. I set the casserole down harder than necessary. I worked for 10 years to save for this house. 10 years, Mom. And now you have it, she said with a shrug. But Forrest only gets married once. This house will always be here. Jayla perked up. Actually, we've been looking at venues, and there's this gorgeous place in the mountains that would be absolutely perfect. It's a little over budget, but how much over budget? I asked, though I already knew I'd regret it. Only about $15,000, she said, like it was pocket change, which is nothing compared to what you probably spent on this place. I looked at Forrest, waiting for him to say something, anything. He was studying his phone like it held the secrets of the universe. Forrest? He finally looked up. I mean, if you wanted to help out, that would be amazing, but no pressure. No pressure. Right. I just closed on this house 3 days ago, I said slowly. I have exactly $400 in my checking account and a mortgage payment due in 3 weeks. Well, you could always take out a home equity loan, Mom suggested. That's what houses are for, building wealth for the family. I stared at her. This woman who'd raised me, who'd supposedly loved me, was sitting in my living room suggesting I mortgage my future for my brother's party. Dinner's ready, I said quietly. We ate in tense silence. Jayla kept taking pictures of her food, probably for Instagram. Forrest scrolled through his phone between bites. Mom criticized everything from the seasoning to the way I'd arranged the napkins. This is really good, Sandra, Forrest said suddenly, like he'd just remembered he was supposed to be nice to me. Thanks. You know, once we're married, you should come over for dinner more often. Jayla's an amazing cook. Jayla beamed. I make this incredible salmon dish that's to die for. Of course, we'll need to get a bigger dining set first. The one we have now only seats 4. That sounds lovely, I said, cutting my chicken with more force than necessary. After they left, I stood in my kitchen washing dishes and trying to process what had just happened. My mother had looked at my greatest achievement and seen only what it could do for her golden boy. My brother had nodded along like it was perfectly reasonable, and his fiancée had spent the entire evening cataloging everything she thought was wrong with my home. I dried the last plate and put it away in my cabinet. My cabinet, in my kitchen, in my house. 3 days later, I woke up to the sound of water dripping. The basement was flooded. I stood ankle deep in murky water, watching my storage boxes float like sad little boats. The basement that had been bone dry during the inspection was now a swimming pool. Ma'am, I'm going to need to shut off your main water line, the plumber said, wading past me with his flashlight. This is bad. How bad? He crouched down near the water heater, examining the pipes. Well, The good news is it's not a burst. The bad news is, he paused, running his fingers along a section of copper pipe. This didn't happen naturally. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Someone took a hammer or something heavy to this pipe. See these dents? And this crack here? He pointed with his flashlight. This was intentional. Someone wanted this pipe to fail. I felt like I might throw up. Are you sure? Lady, I've been doing this for 20 years. Pipes don't crack in perfect straight lines like this unless someone helps them along. He stood up, water dripping from his coveralls. You got any enemies? Someone who might want to mess with your house? I thought about Mom's words. It's a shame you bought this house. About Forrest's uncomfortable shifting when she said it. About how he'd barely looked at me during dinner. I need to make some calls, I said. After the plumber left, I sat on my front steps staring at the estimate. $8,000 in damage. My insurance might cover some of it, but there would be questions, investigations, and if they found out it was intentional. My phone buzzed. A text from Forrest. Hey, heard about your flood? That sucks. Let me know if you need anything. Heard about it? I hadn't told anyone yet. I scrolled back through our recent messages. Nothing. I checked my call log. I hadn't called him. So how did he know? I walked back into the house, my mind racing. When I'd bought this place, I'd been paranoid about security. Living alone for the first time, I'd installed cameras in the main rooms and one in the basement near the water heater, just in case. I pulled up the app on my phone with shaking fingers. The footage from 2 nights ago showed nothing unusual. But yesterday morning, at 11:47 a.m., the basement door opened. Forrest walked down the stairs. He looked around, then pulled out his phone and made a call. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I could see his lips moving. He walked directly to the water heater, like he knew exactly where he was going. Then he pulled something from his jacket, a small hammer. I watched my brother systematically strike the pipe in 3 different spots, precise hits like he'd been coached. After the 3rd strike, water began to seep out slowly. He stood back, admired his work, then said something else into the phone. I could make out the words, "It's done," from his lip movements. Then he left. I rewound the footage and watched it again and again. Each time, the betrayal hit deeper. This wasn't some random act of vandalism. This was planned, calculated. My phone rang. Mom, Sandra, honey, I heard about your basement. What a terrible thing to happen so soon after moving in. How did you hear about it? A pause. Forrest mentioned it. He's so worried about you. I haven't told Forrest anything. Another pause. Longer this time. Well, maybe Jayla heard something. You know how news travels. Mom, I discovered the flood 3 hours ago. I've talked to exactly one person, the plumber. Sandra, I don't like your tone. My tone? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. My basement is destroyed, and somehow you and Forrest knew about it before I told anyone. Don't be ridiculous. We're your family. We care about you. Right. You care so much that you think I should have given Forrest my house money instead. That's not what It's exactly what you said, Mom. Word for word. She was quiet for a long moment. These things happen, Sandra. Old houses have problems. Maybe this is a sign that you weren't ready for home ownership. The audacity of it took my breath away. A sign? I'm just saying, if you can't afford to fix problems like this, maybe you should consider selling. Forrest mentioned he might be interested in buying it from you. Family discount, of course. I ended the call. I sat there staring at my phone. The video still paused on Forrest's face as he raised the hammer. My own brother. My own mother. They'd sabotaged my house and were now positioning themselves to buy it cheap when I couldn't afford the repairs. I copied the video file to 3 different devices. Then I backed it up to the cloud. Then I made another copy on a USB drive that I hid in my bedroom. For the first time in days, I smiled. Sunday dinner, at Mom's house. Same routine I'd followed for years, except now I sat at the table knowing exactly what kind of people I was eating with. Sandra, you look tired, Mom said, passing the mashed potatoes. All this house stress must be getting to you. I'm managing, I replied, spooning potatoes onto my plate like nothing had changed. Forrest cleared his throat. Actually, I've been thinking about your situation. Maybe I could help you out. Oh? Well, Jayla and I have been looking at houses anyway. If you wanted to sell, I could probably take it off your hands. Save you the realtor fees. Jayla nodded enthusiastically. It would be perfect for us as a starter home, and you wouldn't have to deal with all those repair headaches. I took a bite of pot roast. That's so generous of you both. Family helps family, Mom said, echoing her words from my dinner party. Speaking of family, Forrest said, we've decided to expand the guest list for the wedding. Jayla's sorority sisters, some of my college buddies. It's going to be amazing. How exciting, I said. I'm sure it'll be beautiful. The only thing is, Jayla jumped in, with the bigger guest list, we need a bigger venue, and the catering costs are going up, but it's worth it for our special day. Forrest reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I know things are tight with your house situation, but if you could help out even a little bit, it would mean everything to us. I looked down at his hand on mine, the same hand that had held the hammer. How much are we talking about? Maybe 20,000, Jayla said hopefully. I know it sounds like a lot, but $20,000. I let the number hang in the air. You could get a home equity loan, Mom suggested. Banks love giving those out. Or, Forrest said, his voice getting more animated, if you sold the house to me, you could use part of that money for the wedding. It's like killing two birds with one stone. I pulled my hand away and reached for my water glass. You know what's funny? I was just thinking about how much I love that basement, even with all the water damage. Forrest's fork paused halfway to his mouth. The basement? Yeah, it's got such character. And the security camera down there caught the most interesting footage. The table went very quiet. Security camera? Mom asked. Oh, yes. I had them installed when I moved in. You can never be too careful these days. I smiled at Forrest. The one by the water heater has an excellent view. Jayla looked confused. View of what? Everything, I said simply. Forrest set down his fork. Sandra, what are you getting at? Nothing at all. I'm just saying it's amazing what technology can capture these days. Every detail, every face, every deliberate action. Mom's face had gone pale. I think you're being paranoid, honey. Am I? Because I've been getting the strangest calls from neighbors. Apparently there's been some gossip going around about me being unstable and resentful. Funny how these rumors started right after my housewarming dinner. People talk, Forrest said, but his voice was strained. You can't control what people say. True, but you can control what you say, and to whom. I took another bite of pot roast. This is delicious, Mom. What's your secret? Sandra, I don't like where this conversation is going, Mom said. Neither do I, but here we are. Jayla looked between us, clearly sensing the tension but not understanding it. Maybe we should talk about something else. Good idea, I said. Forrest, how's work going? Still doing construction? Yeah, why? Just curious about your tool collection. You always were handy with a hammer. He pushed back from the table. I think I need some air. Sit down, Mom snapped at him. Then to me, Sandra, whatever you think you know. I don't think anything, Mom. I know exactly what happened. The question is, what are we going to do about it? You're being ridiculous, Mom said, but her hands were shaking as she reached for her wine glass. Am I? Because my insurance company is very interested in my security footage. They love having clear evidence when investigating claims. Forrest sat back down heavily. Look, Sandra. No, you look. I set down my fork and leaned forward. I worked 10 years for that house. 10 years of saving every penny, eating ramen, wearing the same clothes until they fell apart. And you destroyed it because you wanted wedding money. That's not... Jayla started. It's exactly what happened. And now you're sitting here asking me to take out a loan to pay for your party after you sabotaged my home. The room was dead silent except for the ticking of Mom's kitchen clock. What do you want? Mom finally asked. I smiled and picked up my fork again. Right now, I want to finish this delicious dinner with my loving family. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is regarding your property complaint filing. Please call to discuss your case. I showed them the screen. Looks like someone filed a complaint about my property standards, trying to get the city to force me to sell. I looked directly at Forrest. Any idea who might do something like that? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Well, I said, standing up and grabbing my purse. This has been lovely, but I should get home. I have some very interesting phone calls to make. Aunt June's house always smelled like lavender and fresh bread. She opened the door before I could knock, like she'd been watching for me. Well, look what the cat dragged in, she said, pulling me into a hug. You sounded upset on the phone. I need to talk to someone who won't lie to me. She studied my face with those sharp eyes that miss nothing. That bad, huh? Come on, I just made tea. We settled into her living room, the same floral couch she'd had for 20 years. June poured tea from a china set that probably cost more than my car. So, she said, settling back with her cup, what's Veronica done now? How do you know it's about Mom? Honey, you only get that particular look when you're dealing with your mother. I've seen it since you were 12 years old. I took a sip of tea, trying to figure out where to start. Do you think I'm selfish for buying my house? June nearly choked on her tea. Selfish? For buying your own home with your own money? Mom thinks I should have given the money to Forrest for his wedding instead. Of course she does. June set down her cup with a sharp clink. Let me guess. She said something about family helping family? Word for word. That woman has been using that line to manipulate people for 40 years. She used it on me when she wanted money for Forrest's college. Used it on your father before he finally had enough and left. I looked up sharply. She asked you for money for Forrest's college? $20,000. Said it was a family investment in his future. June's voice was bitter. I gave it to her because I'm an idiot. You know how much he thanked me? 0. Because he never knew I paid for half his education. She never told him? Of course not. Then he might feel obligated to someone other than her. June leaned forward. Sandra, your mother has spent your entire life making sure you knew you came second to that boy. And now she's angry because you finally did something for yourself. The words hit harder than I expected. I just wanted her to be proud of me. Just once. Oh, sweetheart. June reached over and squeezed my hand. She is proud of you. That's the problem. What do you mean? You think she doesn't see how hard you've worked? How you've built a life without needing anyone? She sees it, and it terrifies her. Because if you don't need her, she can't control you. I stared into my teacup. There's more. I figured there might be. I told her about the basement, about the security footage, about the property complaint and the rumors. June listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each detail. That little bastard, she said when I finished. And Veronica helped him plan it? I heard her voice on the phone when he was down there. June stood up and started pacing. 40 years I've watched that woman poison everything she touches. But this? She turned to face me. This is criminal. I have proof. Good. What are you going to do with it? I don't know yet. June sat back down, her voice gentler now. Can I tell you something about your mother? Something I probably should have told you years ago? I nodded. When you were born, she was furious. Not at you, but at the situation. She'd had Forrest, and he was perfect in her eyes. Then you came along, and you were... June paused, choosing her words carefully. You were different, quieter, more observant. You didn't need her the way Forrest did. So she decided I wasn't worth her time, No, she decided you were a threat. Even as a baby, you were more independent than Forrest. You slept through the night earlier, walked earlier, talked earlier. And every milestone you hit made her realize that you might not need her forever. I felt tears building behind my eyes. So she made sure I knew I wasn't the favorite. She made sure you knew your place, and your place was always supposed to be supporting Forrest. June's voice was fierce now, but you broke the pattern. You got educated, got a good job, bought a house. You proved you didn't need her approval to succeed. And now she's trying to tear it all down. Because if you can make it without her, what does that say about Forrest? He's 28 years old and still running to mommy for money. My phone buzzed. A text from Forrest. We need to talk. Can you come over tonight? I showed June the message. Don't go, she said immediately. Whatever they're planning, it's not good. I have to face them eventually. Not alone, you don't. June stood up. I'm coming with you. June, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I've been watching Veronica bully you for 30 years, and I've kept my mouth shut because I thought it was family business. But this isn't family business anymore. This is war. She walked to her kitchen and came back with a small digital recorder. What's that for? Insurance, she said, slipping it into her purse. If they want to talk, let's make sure we remember every word. I didn't go to Forrest that night. Instead, I called my coworker Corbin. Sandra, it's almost 9. Everything okay? I need a favor, a big one. Shoot. You still have that friend who works in family law? There was a pause. Yeah, Marcus. Why? I need to know about recording laws and property damage and fraud. Jesus, Sandra, what's going on? I told him everything. The basement, the footage, the property complaint. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. You need to talk to Marcus tomorrow. But Sandra, don't do anything stupid tonight. Define stupid. Don't confront them. Don't threaten them. Just document everything and let the law handle it. The law moves slowly, Corbin. They're not going to stop. Promise me you won't do anything tonight. I promise. I hung up and immediately started working on my slideshow. The next morning, I met Marcus at a coffee shop downtown. He was younger than I expected, with kind eyes and a serious expression. Corbin filled me in on the basics, he said, sliding into the booth across from me. You have video evidence of your brother damaging your property? Clear as day. I showed him the footage on my phone. He watched it twice, taking notes. This is definitely criminal property damage. Probably conspiracy if your mother was involved in planning it. The property complaint filing could be harassment or an attempt to defraud. What can I do about it? Legally? File a police report? Press charges? Sue for damages? He looked up from his notes. But you're not asking about legal options, are you? What do you mean? You're asking what you can get away with, what you can do to them without getting in trouble yourself. I didn't answer. Sandra, I get it. Family betrayal hits different. But if you're planning some kind of revenge, you need to be very careful. Document everything, stay within the law, and don't give them ammunition to use against you. What if I just shared the truth with other family members? Truth isn't defamation. As long as you're not lying or embellishing, you can tell anyone anything that actually happened. I left the coffee shop with a plan forming in my mind. That afternoon, I called my cousin Viviana. Sandra, how's the new house? That's actually why I'm calling. I wanted to invite everyone over for a family dinner. Kind of a proper housewarming. That sounds lovely. When? This Sunday. I was thinking of making it special. Maybe put together a little slideshow about the house, the renovation process. You know how much Aunt June loves family photos. She'll eat that up. Should I bring anything? Just yourselves. Oh, and Viviana, make sure everyone comes. I really want the whole family there. Even Forrest and your mom? Things seem tense at June's birthday party. Especially them. This is about bringing the family together. After I hung up, I spent the rest of the week gathering evidence. I had Corbin help me get screenshots of text messages between Forrest and Jayla. His friend at the phone company owed him a favor, and apparently Jayla had been very chatty about their plans. "Look at this one," Corbin said, pointing at his laptop screen. Jayla to her sister. "Forrest says Sandra's house will be perfect for us once she's forced to sell. She can't afford the repairs." "And this one," I said, scrolling down. "Forrest to his friend Mike. The basement thing worked perfectly. Mom was right about hitting the pipe in multiple spots. They're not very smart, are they? Arrogance makes people sloppy." I spent Saturday night editing my slideshow. It started innocently enough. Photos of me painting walls, installing fixtures, arranging furniture, happy music, cheerful transitions. Then, about halfway through, the tone shifted. The security footage appeared without warning. Clear, time-stamped video of Forrest entering my basement with purpose. The audio was perfect. You could hear him talking to Mom on speakerphone. "Are you sure about this?" Her voice came through clearly. "What if she finds out?" "She won't. And even if she does, what's she going to do? Call the cops on her own family? Just make sure you hit it in the right spots. It needs to look like normal wear and tear." The footage showed him examining the pipe, then striking it methodically. 3 precise hits, exactly where Mom had told him. "It's done," he said into the phone. "Should start leaking in a day or two." "Good. Maybe this will teach her that family comes first." I added the text messages as slides after the video. Screenshot after screenshot of them planning my downfall, celebrating my misfortune, and plotting to buy my house cheap. The final slide was simple. Family comes first. But which family? Sunday morning, I cleaned the house until it sparkled. I cooked all afternoon. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, green beans, fresh rolls. The dining room table was set with my grandmother's china, candles flickering in the center. At 5 o'clock, they started arriving. Viviana and her husband, Uncle Robert and his wife, Aunt June, who gave me a knowing look as she handed me a bottle of wine. "Everything ready?" she whispered. "Everything." Forrest and Jayla arrived fashionably late, followed by Mom. They all complimented the house, the food, the ambiance. Forrest even hugged me. "This is really nice, Sandra. I'm glad we're all together." "Me too," I said, smiling. "I have something special planned for after dinner." "Oh?" Mom asked. "A little slideshow about the house. I thought everyone might enjoy seeing the journey." "That sounds wonderful," Viviana said. "I love family presentations." We ate dinner, everyone laughing and talking. Forrest told stories about work. Jayla showed off her engagement ring. Mom complimented my cooking for the first time in years. It was almost perfect. Almost. "Okay, everyone," I said, standing up as I cleared the dessert plates. "Time for the main event. Everyone gather in the living room. I'll get the projector set up." They filed into the living room, settling onto couches and chairs, wine glasses in hand. I dimmed the lights and picked up the remote. "This is a story about family," I began, "about coming home, and about the people who are supposed to support you no matter what." I pressed play. The first few minutes played exactly as I'd planned. Photos of me painting walls, installing light fixtures, arranging furniture. Everyone smiled and made appreciative comments. "Oh, Sandra, you did such a beautiful job," Viviana said. "The kitchen looks amazing," Uncle Robert added. Forrest was relaxed, arm around Jayla on the couch. Mom sat in the armchair, wine glass in hand, actually looking proud for once. "I love seeing the transformation," Jayla said. "It's like those home improvement shows." "Just wait," I said. "It gets more interesting." The music shifted from cheerful to somber. The photos changed from renovation shots to the flooded basement. Everyone leaned forward. "Oh no," Viviana gasped. "What happened?" "Water damage," I said simply. But here's the interesting part. The security footage began playing. Crystal clear, time-stamped video of my basement door opening. Forrest appeared on screen, looking around carefully before pulling out his phone. The room went dead silent. Sandra, Mom said slowly, what is this? Just watch. Forrest's voice came through the speakers, talking to someone on the phone. Yeah, I'm here. Where exactly should I hit it? Mom's voice responded clearly. Near the joints. 3 spots should do it. Make sure it looks natural. Jayla's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God! On screen, Forrest pulled a hammer from his jacket and approached the water pipe. He examined it carefully, then struck it precisely where Mom had instructed. Forrest, Uncle Robert said, his voice barely a whisper. It's done, Forrest said into the phone on the video. Should start leaking in a day or 2. Good, Mom's voice replied. Maybe this will teach her that family comes first. I paused the video. The room was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. Forrest stood up abruptly. Sandra, I can explain. Sit down, Aunt June said sharply. Let her finish. There's more, I said, advancing to the next slide. Text messages. Screenshot after screenshot filled the screen. Aren't Jayla's messages to her sister about how they'd get my house cheap? Forrest's text to his friends about the basement thing working perfectly. Mom's messages to her bridge club about how I was unstable and couldn't handle homeownership. Viviana was staring at the screen in horror. They planned this whole thing. The property complaint too, I said, clicking to the next slide. Filed anonymously, but the IP address traces back to Forrest's apartment. You traced IP addresses? Uncle Robert asked. I have friends who know computers. Jayla was crying now. Forrest, how could you do this to your own sister? She wasn't supposed to find out, he said weakly. That makes it better, Viviana snapped. Mom finally found her voice. Sandra, turn this off right now. Why? Embarrassed? You're humiliating your family. I'm showing my family who you really are. We're your family, Mom shouted, standing up. We raised you. We loved you. You sabotaged my house because I wouldn't give you money for Forrest's wedding. We needed that money. For what? A party? While I'm supposed to live in a flooded basement? Aunt June stood up slowly. Veronica, I have watched you manipulate this girl for 30 years. But this? She gestured at the screen. This is criminal. Stay out of this, June. No, I'm done staying out of it. June's voice was ice cold. You destroyed her property. You filed false complaints. You spread lies about her mental state. All so your precious boy could have a fancy wedding. Forrest was pale as a sheet. It wasn't supposed to be this bad. The damage was supposed to be minor. Minor? I laughed bitterly. $8,000 in damage is minor? We were going to help you fix it, Mom said desperately. After I sold you the house at a loss? Jayla was sobbing openly now. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know they were going to do this. But you knew about the plan to buy the house cheap, I said, clicking to her text messages. You were excited about it. I thought it was just business. Destroying someone's home is just business? Uncle Robert cleared his throat. Sandra, what do you want to do about this? I looked around the room. At Forrest, who couldn't meet my eyes. At Mom, who was clutching her wine glass like a weapon. At Jayla, mascara running down her cheeks. At my extended family, who were seeing the truth for the first time. I want them to understand something, I said quietly. I worked 10 years for this house. 10 years of 60-hour weeks, ramen dinners, and secondhand clothes. I saved every penny because I wanted something that was mine. Something nobody could take away from me. Sandra, Forrest started. I'm not finished. My voice was steady, controlled. You took a hammer to my dreams because you thought your party was more important than my life. You filed false complaints to try to force me out of my home. You spread rumors to make people think I was crazy. We're family, Mom said weakly. No, I said, standing up. Family doesn't do this to each other. Family celebrates your success, not sabotages it. I picked up a manila envelope from the coffee table. These are copies of everything. The video, the text messages, the property complaint, the insurance fraud documentation. What are you going to do with those? Forrest asked, his voice barely audible. I smiled for the first time all evening. Now that's the interesting part. I opened the manila envelope and pulled out a stack of papers. One copy goes to the police for criminal charges, property damage, conspiracy, filing false reports. Forrest's face went white. Sandra, please. Another copy goes to my insurance company. They're very interested in clear evidence of intentional damage. Turns out insurance fraud is a felony. Mom lunged for the envelope. Give me those. Aunt June stepped between us. Sit down, Veronica. And this copy, I continued, holding up another set, goes to the housing authority. They take false complaints very seriously, especially when someone tries to manipulate city resources for personal gain. You're destroying your own family, Mom said, her voice shaking. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just showing everyone what you already destroyed. Jayla was hyperventilating. Forrest, do something. What am I supposed to do? He snapped at her. She has everything on video. You could try apologizing, Viviana said coldly, though it's a little late for that. I'm sorry, Forrest said quickly. Sandra, I'm so sorry. It was stupid. I was desperate. Desperate for what? A bigger wedding? Jayla wanted... Don't you dare blame this on me, Jayla screamed. You told me your sister was being selfish. You said she owed you. She does owe me, Mom shouted. We raised her. We fed her. We put a roof over her head. For 18 years, I said calmly. I've been taking care of myself for 15 years since then. I don't owe you anything. Uncle Robert was shaking his head. Veronica, how did you think this would end? She was supposed to sell the house and help her brother. That's what family does. A family doesn't commit crimes, Aunt June said. Family doesn't destroy each other's property. It was just a pipe, Mom yelled. It was my home, I yelled back, finally losing my composure. It was the first thing I ever owned that was truly mine, and you destroyed it because you couldn't stand that I succeeded without you. The room erupted. Forrest was arguing with Jayla. Mom was screaming at Aunt June. Viviana was on her phone, probably texting her husband about the drama. I walked to the kitchen and came back with another envelope. There's more, I said loudly. Everyone stopped talking. The basement wasn't your only plan, was it? I pulled out more papers. The rumors you spread about my mental health. The calls to my workplace suggesting I was unstable. The anonymous tip to my mortgage company questioning my income verification. Forrest's mouth fell open. How did you... Phone records, email traces, security footage from my office building showing you in the lobby talking to my supervisor. I smiled. You really thought I wouldn't figure it out? Sandra, Mom said desperately, we can fix this. We can make it right. How? By paying for the damage you caused? By retracting the lies you told? By giving me back the peace of mind you stole? We'll pay for everything, Forrest said. The repairs, the insurance deductible, whatever you want. With what money? You're broke. That's why you needed my house money in the first place. Jayla stood up abruptly. I can't do this anymore. Forrest, I'm going home. Jayla, wait. No, I'm not marrying someone who would do this to his own sister. I'm not becoming part of this family. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Jayla, please. Forrest chased after her. We heard the front door slam, then a car engine starting. Look what you've done, Mom said to me. You've ruined his engagement. I ruined his engagement? I laughed. He ruined his engagement when he took a hammer to my basement. He was trying to help you by destroying my property, by showing you that you needed family. Aunt June stood up. Veronica, I've heard enough. You're delusional. Don't you start with me, June. I'll start and I'll finish. You've spent 30 years poisoning this family against Sandra because she didn't need you the way Forrest does. And now you've committed actual crimes because you can't stand that she's successful. She's not successful. She's selfish. She bought a house with her own money. How is that selfish? Because she should have helped her brother. Her brother is 28 years old, Viviana shouted. He should be helping himself. Forrest came back in looking defeated. She's gone. She won't answer her phone. Good, I said. She deserves better than this family. Sandra, please, he said, tears in his eyes. I'll do anything. I'll pay you back. I'll confess to the police myself. Just don't press charges. I looked at him for a long moment. My little brother, who I'd protected from bullies in school, who I'd helped with homework, who I'd lent money to more times than I could count. You know what the worst part is? I said quietly. I would have helped you. If you just asked me honestly, explained your situation, I would have found a way to help with the wedding. You would have? Of course I would have. You're my brother. But instead, you decided to destroy my life to get what you wanted. I walked to the mantelpiece and picked up a certified letter. This is a restraining order. You're not allowed within 500 feet of my house or my workplace. Sandra. And this, I said, holding up another document, is a civil lawsuit for damages, emotional distress, and punitive damages. My lawyer thinks we can get triple damages because it was intentional. Mom was crying now. You're destroying your own family. No, Mom. You destroyed it the day you decided I wasn't worth as much as Forrest. I'm just making sure everyone else knows it too. I looked around the room at my extended family. Thank you all for coming. I think you've seen enough. One by one, they filed out. Uncle Robert patted my shoulder. Viviana hugged me tight. Aunt June was the last to leave. I'm proud of you, she whispered. It's about time someone stood up to her. After they left, I sat alone in my living room, surrounded by the evidence of my family's betrayal. The house was quiet except for the sound of my own breathing. For the first time in weeks, I felt free. The doorbell rang on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks after the dinner. I opened it to find Forrest standing on my porch, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Sandra, please, can we talk? You're violating the restraining order. I know. I don't care. I need to tell you something. I kept the door mostly closed, my hand on my phone. You have 2 minutes. Mom's in the hospital. That stopped me cold. What happened? Stress-induced heart episode. She collapsed at work yesterday. His voice cracked. She keeps asking for you. I'm sure she does. Sandra, please. Whatever you think of me, whatever I did, she's still our mother. Our mother who helped you destroy my house. I know. I know what we did was unforgivable. But she's scared. The doctors say the stress from all this legal stuff is making her worse. I stared at him through the gap in the door. So you want me to drop the charges so Mom feels better? I want you to see her. Just once. Let her apologize. She had 3 weeks to apologize. She chose to hire a lawyer instead. The lawyer was my idea. I thought we could fight it. He ran his hands through his hair. I was wrong about everything. Yes, you were. Jayla left me. I know. Viviana told me. She said she couldn't marry someone who would hurt his own family. She was right. He looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. I lost everything, Sandra. My fiancé, my relationship with you, Mom's health, all for a stupid wedding that's never going to happen. You didn't lose everything, Forrest. You threw it away. I know, God, I know. He was crying now. I've been thinking about it every day, about how I used to look up to you when we were kids, how you always protected me, and I repaid that by destroying the thing you worked hardest for. I opened the door a little wider. Why did you do it? Because Mom convinced me you owed us. She said you were being selfish, that family was supposed to come first. She made it sound like you were betraying us by not helping. And you believed her. I wanted to believe her. It was easier than admitting I was a 28-year-old man who couldn't afford his own wedding. He wiped his eyes. I was embarrassed. ashamed. And instead of dealing with that, I let her convince me that you were the problem. You took a hammer to my basement, Forrest. I know. I replay it every night. I see your face when you found the damage, and I hate myself for it. I studied his face. The arrogance was gone. The entitlement was gone. He looked broken. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't deserve anything from you. I just want you to know that I'm sorry, really, truly sorry. And if seeing Mom would help you get closure or help her get better, maybe it's worth considering. My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt June. Veronica's asking for you. I'm at the hospital if you want to come. June's with her? She's been there since yesterday. She said someone needs to make sure Mom doesn't manipulate the nurses. Despite everything, I almost smiled. That sounds like June. Sandra, I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but could you at least think about it? I looked at my brother, really looked at him. The golden boy who'd never faced consequences for anything, who'd always gotten what he wanted because Mom made sure of it. He looked older now, tired, like he'd finally realized the world didn't revolve around him. I'll think about it, I said. Thank you. But Forrest, the charges stand, the lawsuit stands. What you did was criminal, and I'm not dropping it because Mom's sick. I understand. I wouldn't expect you to. He turned to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. For the house, for standing up to us, for everything. I should have said that 10 years ago. After he left, I sat in my kitchen drinking coffee and thinking. My phone rang. Corbin. Hey, how are you holding up? Forrest just came by. Mom's in the hospital. Shit, you okay? I think so. He wants me to visit her. Are you going to? I don't know. Part of me wants to see if she'll actually apologize. Part of me thinks it's just another manipulation. What does your gut tell you? I thought about it. That I need to see this through, one way or another. Want me to drive you? Actually, yeah, that would help. An hour later, we were walking through the hospital corridors. Aunt June met us at the elevator. She's stable, she said without preamble, but she's been asking for you constantly. Fair warning, she's still Veronica. Don't expect a complete personality change. I'm not expecting anything. Good. That's the safest approach with your mother. We walked to room 314. Mom was propped up in bed, looking smaller and older than I'd ever seen her. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. Sandra, you came. I came. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I pulled a chair next to her bed. Are you? Or are you sorry you got caught? She was quiet for a long moment. Both, I think. I'm sorry I hurt you, but I'm also sorry that my plan didn't work. The honesty surprised me. At least you're being truthful. I spent 30 years trying to control you and you never let me. I resented that. I resented your independence, your success, your ability to be happy without needing anyone. Why? Because I needed to be needed. With Forrest, I was always the hero, the one who solved his problems, gave him money, made his life easier, but you never needed rescuing. So you decided to create a situation where I would need rescuing. Yes, and it was cruel and stupid and wrong. She reached for my hand. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that I see what I did. I see how I failed you as a mother. I looked down at her hand holding mine, the same hand that had guided Forrest to destroy my basement. I forgive you, Mom, but I don't trust you, and I'm not dropping the charges. I know. I wouldn't either if I were you. The house is beautiful, by the way, even after the repairs. I love living there. She smiled weakly. I'm glad. You deserve to be happy. I am happy, finally. We sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then she squeezed my hand. Will you come see me again? Maybe, if you keep being honest. I'll try. I stood up to leave. Mom, next year I'm hosting Thanksgiving at my house. You're invited if you want to come. I'd like that. Good, but you're bringing dessert. I'm not cooking everything myself. She laughed, actually laughed. Deal? As I walked out of the hospital with Corbin and Aunt June, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because everything was fixed, but because I'd finally stopped trying to fix things that were never my responsibility to fix. So, Corbin said as we got in the car, how does it feel to win? I thought about it. Like I can finally go home. And I did. To my house, with my mortgage, and my repaired basement, and my security cameras. To the place I'd built with my own hands and my own money. To the home that nobody could take away from me. Because some victories aren't about destroying your enemies. They're about building something so strong that your enemies can't destroy you. I unlocked my front door and stepped inside. The house smelled like fresh paint and possibility. I was home.
The sound of Alfred retching into the toilet at 3 a.m. was my alarm clock. Again, I dragged myself out of bed, grabbed the cleaning supplies from under the bathroom sink, and got to work. Vomit splattered across the marble floor, chunks of whatever expensive dinner he'd blown his money on, mixed with what smelled like top-shelf whiskey. The same whiskey I'd watched him drink straight from the bottle, while his 6-year-old daughters ate cereal for dinner because he'd forgotten to grocery shop. My name is Jade, and this is my life now. Has been for the past 4 years, ever since my mom died and my father married Helen, bringing her golden boy son, Alfred, into our house like some kind of conquering hero. Jade! Helen's voice cut through the morning air as I finished mopping. The girls need to be at school in 20 minutes and Alfred's car won't start. I found Emily and Lisa in the kitchen, still in their pyjamas, hair unbrushed. Emily, the bolder of the twins, looked up at me with those big brown eyes that reminded me too much of their absent mother. Aunt Jade, can you braid my hair like yesterday? Of course, sweetheart. I knelt down, working my fingers through her tangled curls. But we need to hurry, okay? Lisa tugged at my shirt. I can't find my backpack. It's in the living room where you left it after homework. I finished Emily's braid and started on Lisa's. Go brush your teeth, both of you. Helen appeared in the doorway, perfectly dressed in her real estate blazer, coffee mug in hand. You'll need to take them in my car. Alfred's having car trouble again. Again, the 3rd time this month. I wanted to point out that if Alfred stopped spending money on his weekend gambling trips, maybe he could afford to maintain his BMW. Instead, I nodded. I'll drop them off after I get them dressed. Good. Oh, and Jade. Helen paused at the door. Alfred's friend Albert is coming by later to discuss some business. Make sure the house is presentable. Presentable? As if I hadn't spent every day for 4 years making sure this house looked like something out of a magazine while Alfred treated it like his personal frat house. After I got the girls to school, I came home to find Alfred sprawled on the living room couch, still in yesterday's clothes, scrolling through his phone. Empty beer bottles lined the coffee table next to a pizza box from 2 days ago. Morning, sunshine, I said, gathering the bottles. Your friend Albert called. He's coming by at 2. Alfred grunted without looking up. Yeah, whatever. Can you make sure there's food? Like actual food, not your weird healthy stuff. I stopped mid-reach for the pizza box. My weird healthy stuff? You know what I mean. Albert's used to eating real meals. Real meals. Like the lasagna I'd made from scratch 3 nights ago that he'd barely touched because he was too busy texting some woman he'd met at a bar. Or the pot roast I'd spent 6 hours preparing last Sunday while he slept off another hangover. I'll figure something out, I said. The afternoon crawled by. I cleaned, I cooked. I did 3 loads of laundry that included Alfred's clothes mixed in with the girls' school uniforms. When Albert arrived, I served them sandwiches and retreated to the kitchen to give them privacy for whatever business they needed to discuss. That's when I heard it. Look, man, I need that money, Albert's voice carried from the living room. You promised me 200 grand by the end of the month. I know, I'm working on it. Working on it how? Your divorce cleaned you out, your credit cards are maxed, and your dad's not exactly rolling in cash these days. I'll figure it out. Jade's not going anywhere. She's basically the help at this point. I froze mid-step, a dish towel clutched in my hands. What do you mean? Albert asked. She gave up college to take care of the girls when Sarah left. She cooks, cleans, does everything around here. She doesn't even get paid, just room and board. It's perfect. But she's your stepsister, right? Alfred laughed, and the sound made my stomach turn. Barely. My mum married her dad, but it's not like we're real family. She's just convenient. She'll never leave because she's got nowhere else to go. She doesn't even matter. She's just the nanny. The dish towel slipped from my fingers and hit the floor. 4 years. 4 years of sacrificing everything. My scholarship to state, my dreams of landscape architecture, my entire 20s, for a family that saw me as hired help. 4 years of raising Alfred's daughters while he partied and gambled away whatever money he had left. 4 years of being grateful for scraps while living in my own childhood home. I picked up the dish towel with shaking hands and walked quietly to my room, my mother's voice echoing in my memory from the day before she died. There's something in the safe deposit box, sweetheart, for when you're ready to claim yourself. I'd never been ready before, but I was now. The bank smelled like old leather and disappointment. I'd been putting off this visit for over a year, telling myself I wasn't ready, that I had too much to handle at home. The truth was, I'd been scared of what my mother might have left behind, scared of her final words, her final judgment of the daughter who'd let herself become invisible. Box 247, the clerk said, leading me down a narrow hallway lined with metal doors. Take your time. My hands shook as I turned the key. Inside the small metal box sat a manila envelope, thick with papers, and a smaller sealed letter with my name written in my mother's careful handwriting. I opened the letter first. My dearest Jade, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and you've finally found the courage to open this box. I hope it didn't take you too long. I know what they'll do to you. I know because I see how Davis looks away when Helen speaks, how he chooses peace over protecting his own daughter. I know because I've watched Alfred treat you like staff since the day he moved in, and I've seen you shrink yourself smaller and smaller to avoid conflict. You are not small, Jade. You never were. The account information is in the envelope. $325,000 from the sale of my paintings and investments I made, without your father's knowledge. It's yours, all of it. But when you claim this money, you must also claim yourself. Don't let them make you disappear. All my love. Mom. I had to read it 3 times before the words sank in. $325,000. My mother had been selling her artwork, the landscapes she painted in the garage studio, the portraits she'd sketched of neighbours' children. I'd thought it was just a hobby. The envelope contained bank statements, investment records, and a business license I'd never known existed. Margaret's Art Studio, LLC. My mother had been running a business for years, quietly building something that would outlive her. I drove home in a daze, the papers hidden in my purse like contraband. Alfred's car was gone, probably at another bar, spending money he didn't have. Helen was in the kitchen, sorting through mail. "Where have you been?" she asked without looking up. "The girls get out of school in an hour." I had errands to run. "Well, next time let me know. I had to reschedule a showing because I wasn't sure if you'd be here for pickup." I nodded and headed to my room, closing the door behind me. I pulled out my laptop and logged into the bank website using the information from the envelope. There it was, an account in my name with a balance that made my eyes water. My phone buzzed. A text from Camila, my old roommate from the one semester I'd managed at college before everything fell apart. "Hey stranger, saw your mom's paintings at the gallery downtown. Had no idea she was so talented. How are you holding up?" Gallery downtown. I stared at the text, then quickly typed back. "What gallery? What paintings?" The Morrison Gallery on 5th Street, there's a whole section dedicated to her work. Says the collection was donated by the family. My blood turned to ice. I grabbed my keys and drove straight downtown, leaving Helen to figure out school pickup herself. The Morrison Gallery was small but elegant, with white walls and perfect lighting. I found my mother's section in the back corner. 12 paintings I recognised from her studio, pieces she'd worked on for years. The placard read, "The Margaret Collection, donated by the Warren Summers family in loving memory." Beautiful work, isn't it? A woman in a black dress appeared beside me. "We're so grateful to the family for the donation. These pieces will help fund our youth art program." "Donated?" My voice came out strangled. "Yes, just last month. Such a generous gesture during their time of grief." I walked home instead of driving, needing the time to process what I'd discovered. Helen had donated my mother's paintings without asking me. Paintings that belonged to me, that were part of my inheritance, given away to make the family look charitable. When I got back, Alfred was home, pacing the living room while talking on his phone. "I don't care what it takes, Albert. I need more time." He spotted me and lowered his voice. "Look, I'll call you back." "Where are the girls?" I asked. Helen picked them up. "They're at her mother's for dinner." He studied my face. "You look weird. Everything okay?" "Fine." I headed for the stairs, but his voice stopped me. "Hey, Jade. I know I don't say it enough, but thanks for everything you do around here. For the girls, especially. I know it's not easy." I turned back to look at him. Alfred, with his expensive clothes and his desperate eyes, trying to charm his way out of whatever hole he dug himself into. "You're welcome," I said. That night, after everyone was asleep, I sat at my laptop and transferred the entire $325,000 into a new trust account, untouchable, protected, mine. Then I opened a new document and started typing. Every unpaid hour of childcare, every meal I'd cooked, every time I'd cleaned up Alfred's messes, every sacrifice I'd made while they lived off my labour. My mother was right. It was time to claim myself, and I was going to start by making them pay for every single thing they'd taken from me. I left at dawn. No note, no explanation, no forwarding address. Just my suitcase, my laptop, and the folder containing every document that proved what they'd stolen from me. My phone started ringing before I'd even reached the highway. Alfred's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call and kept driving. Camila opened her apartment door in pajamas, coffee mug in hand, looking exactly like she had in college. Messy bun, oversized t-shirt, and the kind of smile that made everything seem possible. "Holy shit, Jade, you actually did it." "I actually did it." I dropped my suitcase in her hallway. "Can I crash here for a while?" "Are you kidding? I've been waiting 4 years for this phone call." She pulled me into a hug that smelled like vanilla and freedom. "Tell me everything." We spent the morning at her kitchen table, my documents spread between us like battle plans. Camila had finished law school while I'd been playing unpaid nanny, and her sharp eyes caught details I'd missed. "This is insane," she said, flipping through my calculations. "You've provided over $60,000 worth of childcare alone, not counting the cooking, cleaning, and household management. And they donated my mother's paintings without permission. That's theft, straight up." She made notes on a legal pad. "We need to document everything before they realise you're serious about this." My phone buzzed again. This time it was Helen. "Jade, where are you? The girls are asking for you. This is very irresponsible." I showed Camilla the text. She snorted. "Irresponsible, right. Because taking care of their kids for free while they treat you like garbage is the height of responsibility. Should I respond? Not yet. Let them sweat." By noon, I had 17 missed calls and 23 text messages. Alfred, Helen, even my father had joined the chorus of increasingly frantic messages. "Dad, Jade, please call me back. Alfred is very upset." "Alfred, Where the hell are you? I have a meeting with Albert in an hour and the girls need lunch. Helen, this is childish. Come home immediately. Look at this, I said, showing Camilla the messages. Not one of them asks if I'm okay, just demands that I come back and fix their problems. Classic! Camilla poured herself more coffee. So, what's the plan? I called Athena Brewer this morning. She's handling my mother's estate. I'm meeting with her at 3 to discuss restructuring the trust. The estate lawyer? Smart move. My phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Jade? This is Albert, Alfred's friend. I mouthed Albert to Camilla, who raised her eyebrows. Hi, Albert. Listen, I don't know what's going on with you and Alfred, but he owes me money, a lot of money, and he's not answering his phone. I'm sorry, but that's between you and Alfred. Is it? Because he told me you'd help him figure out the payment situation. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. He told you what? That you had access to family money, that you'd help him out of this jam. Albert, I need to go. Wait, Jade. I hung up and stared at Camilla. Alfred promised Albert money he doesn't have, and apparently he told Albert I'd help pay for it. With what money? That's what I'm wondering. Athena Brewer's office was all glass and steel, the kind of place that made you sit up straighter just by walking through the door. She was younger than I'd expected, maybe mid-30s, with sharp cheekbones and sharper suits. Your mother was very specific about her wishes, Athena said, reviewing the trust documents. She wanted to ensure you had complete control over your inheritance. Can we modify the terms, make it so no one else can access anything without my explicit permission? Absolutely. In fact, your mother included provisions for exactly that scenario. She pulled out another folder. She suspected there might be complications after her death. What kind of complications? She was concerned about your step-family's financial stability, particularly Alfred's gambling debts and your father's tendency to avoid conflict. My mother had seen it all coming. Even from her hospital bed, she'd been 3 steps ahead of everyone. There's something else, Athena continued. Your mother recorded a video message to be played when the trust terms are finalised. She insisted it be done in the presence of all family members. A video message? She wanted to make sure her wishes were crystal clear. No room for misinterpretation. I signed the papers with hands that barely shook. By the time I left Athena's office, the trust was locked down tighter than Fort Knox. No one could touch a penny without my signature. My phone had been buzzing non-stop during the meeting. When I finally checked it, there was a voicemail from my father. Jade, I don't know what you did, but Alfred's in trouble. He's afraid. Please call me back. We need to talk. I played the message for Camilla when I got back to her apartment. Afraid? She said. Good. Let him be afraid for once. My dad sounded scared too. Also good. Maybe now he'll realise what happens when you let your daughter get treated like garbage for 4 years. That night I lay on Camilla's couch, listening to the silence. No crying children to comfort. No messes to clean up. No Alfred stumbling in drunk at 3 a.m. For the first time in 4 years, I slept through the night, but I knew this was just the beginning. The calls started at 6 a.m. and didn't stop. I was sitting in Camilla's kitchen, actually enjoying a cup of coffee for the first time in years, when my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Alfred, Helen, Dad, Alfred again, Helen again. A number I didn't recognise that was probably Albert. You're popular this morning, Camilla said, buttering her toast. I'm ignoring all of them. I turned the phone face down. I enrolled in that landscape design course at the community college. Classes start Monday. Jade, that's amazing. And I called Professor Martinez from State. You remember him? He said if I finish the certificate program, he'll help me transfer my credits and get back into the architecture program. Camilla nearly choked on her coffee. You're going back to school? I'm 26, not dead. I've got time to build the life I actually want. My phone buzzed with a text, then another, then 5 more in rapid succession. Alfred, Jade, this isn't funny anymore. The girls are crying. Helen, you're being incredibly selfish. Come home. Dad, please, sweetheart, let's talk about this like adults. Alfred, I know you're reading these. Call me back. Helen, the girls haven't eaten a proper meal in 2 days. Alfred, fine. You want to play games? I'll come find you. I showed the messages to Camilla. She read them and shook her head. 2 days without a proper meal? What exactly were they doing before you came along? Starving? Apparently. I scrolled through more messages. Oh, this is rich. Helen says I'm abandoning my responsibilities to the family. What responsibilities? You're not their employee. Try telling them that. My phone rang. This time it was a number I recognized. Emily and Lisa's school. Hello? Miss Jade? This is Mrs. Patterson from Riverside Elementary. I'm calling because Emily and Lisa weren't picked up yesterday and they're not in school today. Is everything all right? My stomach dropped. They weren't picked up. Their father eventually came, but he seemed very stressed, and Emily was quite upset. She kept asking for you. I'm not living with the family anymore. Their father and grandmother should be handling pickup. Oh, I see. Well, if you could let them know that the girls need to maintain regular attendance. Of course. Thank you for calling. I hung up and stared at Camilla. Alfred forgot to pick up the girls from school yesterday. Jesus! And they're not in school today. My phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. This is Albert. Your brother owes me $200K. If he doesn't pay by Friday, we're going to have problems. Tell him I'm not playing games. I screenshot the message and sent it to Camilla. Holy shit, she said. 200,000! How does someone even owe that much money? Gambling debts, probably. Alfred always thought he was smarter than everyone else. Another text came through, this time from Helen. The girls are asking for you constantly. This is cruel, Jade. They don't understand why you left. That one hit different. I could picture Emily and Lisa, confused and scared, wondering why I'd disappeared without saying goodbye. They didn't deserve to be caught in the middle of this mess. I need to see them, I said. Jade, no, that's exactly what they want. The girls didn't do anything wrong. Neither did you. Don't let them guilt you into going back. But the image of Emily and Lisa crying for me was stuck in my head. I grabbed my phone and typed a response to Helen. I'll come by this afternoon to see the girls, but I'm not staying and I'm not cleaning up anyone's messes. The response came back immediately. Thank God. Come home, Jade. We can work this out. I said I'd visit, not come home. There's a difference. I drove to the house at 3 o'clock, my hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than necessary. The lawn needed mowing, and there were newspapers scattered across the driveway. In just 3 days, the place was already falling apart. Helen opened the door before I could knock, her usually perfect hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Jade, thank goodness, the girls have been... Where are they? In the living room, but first we need to talk about... No, I'm here to see Emily and Lisa, that's it. I pushed past her and found the twins on the couch, still in their pyjamas, even though it was mid-afternoon. Emily's face lit up when she saw me. Aunt Jade! She launched herself into my arms. Where did you go? We looked everywhere for you. Lisa was right behind her, wrapping her small arms around my waist. Daddy said you went on a trip, but you didn't say goodbye. My heart cracked a little. I'm sorry, sweethearts. I should have said goodbye. Are you coming home now? Emily asked. I'm not living here anymore, Em, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. Why not? Lisa's voice was small and confused. Before I could answer, Alfred appeared in the doorway. He looked terrible, unshaven, clothes wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. Jade, we need to talk. No, we don't. Yes, we do. This is insane. You can't just disappear and leave us to what? Take care of your own children. That's not fair. I stood up, gently moving the girls aside. What's not fair is me giving up 4 years of my life to raise your kids while you treated me like hired help. She's basically the help, I quoted back to him. She doesn't even matter. She's just the nanny. Alfred's face went white. Behind him, Helen's mouth fell open. You heard that? I heard everything. I turned back to the girls. I have to go now, but I'll see you soon, okay? Promise? Emily asked. Promise. As I headed for the door, I noticed something that made me stop cold. The walls where my mother's paintings used to hang were empty, not just the ones from the gallery, all of them. Where are the rest of my mother's paintings? Helen and Alfred exchanged a look. We needed the money, Helen said quietly. You sold them? Just a few more, to help with Alfred's legal fees. I stared at them both, feeling something cold and final settle in my chest. You sold my mother's artwork to pay for Alfred's problems. Jade, please understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. I walked out without another word, my phone already buzzing with Athena's number. It was time to stop playing nice. They sold more of my mother's paintings, I told Athena over the phone, pacing Camilla's living room. Without my permission, again. How many pieces are we talking about? At least 6 that I could see were missing. Maybe more. That's felony theft, Jade. Your mother's artwork was specifically listed in the estate inventory. They had no legal right to sell any of it. What can we do? We can file for immediate asset protection. I'll request a court order freezing all remaining estate property until the trust reading is complete. How long will that take? I can have the paperwork filed by tomorrow morning, but Jade, there's something else we need to discuss. The trust reading needs to happen soon. Your mother's video message was very specific about timing. What do you mean? She wanted it played exactly 6 months after her death. That's next Friday. Next Friday. The same day Albert expected his money from Alfred. Can we do it at the house? If that's what you want, but everyone named in the trust has to be present. Your father, Helen, Alfred, and you. Perfect. Set it up. That evening Camilla and I were making dinner when my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognise. Hello? Is this Jade? The voice was female, tired sounding. Yes. Who is this? This is Sarah, Alfred's ex-wife, Emily and Lisa's mother. I nearly dropped the phone. Sarah had vanished 2 years ago, leaving Alfred with the twins and a pile of divorce papers. No one had heard from her since. Sarah, where are you? I'm in Phoenix. I've been in rehab. I'm clean now, Jade. 6 months sober. That's great, Sarah. Really? I heard you left. Alfred called me, begging me to come get the girls. He says he can't handle them alone. He can't handle them with help either. Sarah laughed, but it sounded hollow. Yeah, that sounds like Alfred. Listen, I want to see my daughters, but I need to know, are they okay? Really okay? They're confused and scared. Alfred forgot to pick them up from school yesterday. Jesus. Okay, I'm flying out tomorrow. Can we meet? I want to hear what's really been going on. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop downtown. After I hung up, Camilla looked at me with raised eyebrows. The plot thickens. No kidding. The next morning I was reviewing estate documents when Camilla burst through the door, her laptop in hand. You need to see this. She opened her laptop and showed me a local news website. The headline read, Local Man Confronted by Creditor at Downtown Restaurant. The article was short, but the accompanying photo made my blood run cold. It showed Alfred backed against a wall outside Romano's Italian, hands raised defensively while a large man in a leather jacket pointed a finger in his face. That's Albert, I said. Read the article. Local resident Alfred Warren was involved in a heated confrontation yesterday evening at Romano's Italian restaurant. Witnesses report that an unidentified man approached Warren during dinner, demanding payment of a substantial debt. The confrontation moved to the parking lot where the man allegedly threatened Warren before leaving. Police were not called to the scene. "He's escalating," Camilla said. "This Albert guy isn't messing around." My phone buzzed with a text from Helen. "Alfred is scared to leave the house. Please come home. We need to discuss this situation like a family." I showed the message to Camilla. She snorted. "Now they want to discuss things like a family? Where was that energy for the past 4 years? I'm meeting Sarah in an hour. Want to come? Wouldn't miss it." Sarah looked older than I remembered, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes that spoke of hard-won sobriety. But her smile was genuine when she saw me. "Jade, God, you look good, different. Thanks, you look better." "I feel better, most days." She ordered coffee with shaking hands. "Tell me about my girls. Don't sugarcoat it." I told her everything. The forgotten school pickups, the nights Alfred came home drunk while the twins ate cereal for dinner, the way they'd clung to me like I was their lifeline. "I was their primary caregiver for 2 years," I finished. "Alfred was barely present even when he was home." Sarah's jaw tightened. "And Helen?" "Helen sees them as Alfred's responsibility. She helps when it's convenient." "So you raised my daughters while I was getting my shit together." "I love those girls, Sarah. I didn't do it because I had to." "I know. They talk about you constantly when Alfred calls. Aunt Jade this, Aunt Jade that." I was honestly a little jealous. "You don't need to be jealous. You're their mother." "Am I? I left them, Jade. I chose drugs over my own children." "But you got clean. You're here now." Sarah wiped her eyes. "Alfred wants me to take them back to Phoenix with me. Says he can't handle them anymore." "What do you want?" "I want to be their mother again. But I don't know if I'm ready. And I don't know if they'll forgive me." "They're 6 years old, Sarah. They just want to feel safe and loved. Will you help me? I know I don't have the right to ask, but of course I'll help." We spent the next hour making plans. Sarah would stay in town for a few weeks, gradually rebuilding her relationship with the girls. If things went well, she'd consider moving back permanently. As we were leaving, my phone rang. Athena's name flashed on the screen. "I have good news and bad news," she said without preamble. "The good news is the court granted the asset protection order. Nothing else can be sold from the estate. And the bad news, I just received a call from Alfred's attorney. He's claiming you've illegally seized family assets and demanding access to your mother's trust fund. On what grounds? He's arguing that since you lived in the family home and received room and board, you were essentially paid for your services. Therefore, you have no claim to additional compensation." I felt rage bubble up in my chest. He's claiming room and board in my own childhood home was payment. That's his argument. It won't hold up in court, but it shows how desperate he's getting. Good. Let him be desperate. There's something else, Jade. I did some digging into Alfred's finances. He owes money to more than just Albert. Credit cards, private loans, gambling debts. He's in deep. How deep? Close to $500,000. I hung up and stared at Sarah, who'd been listening to my side of the conversation. $500,000? She asked. Apparently. Jesus, no wonder he wants the girls gone. He's probably planning to run. Not if I have anything to say about it. That afternoon I drove to the courthouse and filed the paperwork myself. By 5 o'clock, Alfred had been served with official notice that he was now considered a tenant in the family home, not an owner. The trust reading was scheduled for Friday at 2 p.m. Alfred had no idea what was coming, but he was about to find out. Friday came faster than I expected. I arrived at the house at exactly 2 p.m., Athena beside me carrying a briefcase and a tablet. Sarah had taken the girls to the park. We'd agreed they didn't need to witness whatever was about to unfold. Helen answered the door, her smile strained and brittle. "Jade, I'm so glad you're here. We can finally put this whole misunderstanding behind us." This isn't a misunderstanding, Helen. Alfred appeared behind her, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His expensive shirt was wrinkled, his hair unwashed. Jade, thank God. Look, I know things got heated, but we're family. We can work this out. Where's Dad? Living room, Helen said. He's been waiting for you. My father sat in his usual chair, the one he'd claimed after my mother died, staring at his hands. He looked up when I entered, and I saw something I'd never seen before in his eyes. Fear. Jade, his voice cracked slightly. I'm sorry for all of it. We'll see. Athena set up her tablet on the coffee table and opened her briefcase. Before we begin, I need to confirm that everyone named in the trust is present. Davis, Helen, Alfred and Jade. We're all here, Helen said, settling onto the couch next to Alfred. Can we please just get this over with? This is a formal reading of Margaret's trust, established 6 months before her death and sealed until today. Athena's voice was crisp, professional. The trust contains specific instructions for the distribution of assets, including real estate, investments, and personal property. Alfred leaned forward. How much are we talking about? The total estate value is approximately $850,000, Helen gasped. My father's face went white. 850,000? Alfred's voice cracked. Mum never told us she had that kind of money. Your mother was a very private person about her finances, Athena continued. She also left specific instructions that a video message be played before the distribution terms are read. She tapped the tablet screen, and suddenly my mother's face filled the room. She was sitting in her hospital bed, wearing the blue robe I'd bought her, looking directly into the camera with the same determined expression she'd worn when teaching me to drive or helping me with homework. If you're watching this, then I'm gone, and my daughter has finally found the strength to claim what's hers. My father made a choking sound. Davis, my love, I know you think avoiding conflict is the same as keeping peace, but sometimes peace comes at too high a price. You let them treat our daughter like a servant in her own home, and you said nothing. Dad's shoulders shook. Helen, you moved into my house, rearranged my furniture, and treated my child like an inconvenience. You donated my paintings without permission and convinced yourself it was charity. It was theft. Helen's face flushed red. This is ridiculous. I don't have to listen to... Yes, you do, Athena said firmly. The video must be played in its entirety for the trust to be valid. On screen, my mother continued. Alfred, you took advantage of a young woman's kindness and mistook her love for your children as weakness. You called her the help while she sacrificed her future to raise your daughters. Alfred started to stand. I never said... Sit down, I said quietly. You did say it. I heard you. He sank back onto the couch, his face pale. But this message is really for my daughter. My mother's voice softened. Jade, my beautiful girl, you were born with a spine of fire, but somewhere along the way you forgot how to use it. You gave and gave until there was nothing left of yourself. Tears ran down my cheeks. I'm giving you the tools to rebuild your life. The house is yours. It was always yours. 51% of all assets go to you immediately. The remaining 49% will be held in trust for Emily and Lisa's education, with you as the sole trustee. What? Helen shot to her feet. That's impossible. Davis is her husband. He should inherit. Davis receives a life estate in the house. My mother's voice continued, as if she'd anticipated the objection. He can live there as long as he wishes, but he cannot sell it, mortgage it, or allow anyone else to claim ownership. When he dies, it passes entirely to Jade. And Alfred gets nothing. Helen's voice was shrill. Alfred gets exactly what he gave my daughter. Nothing. The video ended. The room fell silent except for the sound of Alfred's ragged breathing. Athena cleared her throat. The trust also includes specific provisions regarding current occupancy of the property. As of today, Jade has the legal right to determine who lives in the house. You can't kick us out, Helen said. We have nowhere to go. Actually, I can. I stood up, feeling steadier than I had in years. But I won't. Dad can stay as long as he wants. It's his home too. What about us? Alfred's voice was barely a whisper. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. Jade, please, I'm broke. Albert's threatening me. I have nowhere to take the girls. The girls aren't your problem anymore. What do you mean? Sarah's back. She's clean, she's stable, and she wants to be their mother again. I'm petitioning for joint custody, Sarah and me together. Alfred's face crumpled. You can't take my daughters away from me. I'm not taking them. You threw them away the moment you decided I was just the help. Helen turned on my father. Davis, say something. This is insane. Dad looked up at her with tired eyes. What do you want me to say, Helen? That my wife was wrong? That our daughter deserves less than what she gave? She's not even your real daughter. The words hung in the air like poison. Dad stood up slowly. Get out. What? You heard me. Get out of my house, both of you. Davis, you can't be serious. I should have said this 4 years ago. His voice was stronger now. Jade is my daughter. My real daughter. The only real daughter I have. And I let you treat her like garbage because I was too much of a coward to stand up to you. Alfred looked around the room desperately. Jade, I'll pay you back every penny. I'll get clean. You've ruined me. The words exploded out of him. I trusted you. I thought we were family. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing but pity. No, Alfred. You ruined yourself. The next morning I found Alfred loading suitcases into his car while Emily and Lisa watched from the front porch, still in their pyjamas. Daddy, where are we going? Emily asked, her voice small and confused. We're going to stay with Grandma Helen for a while, Alfred said without looking at them. What about Aunt Jade? Aunt Jade doesn't want us here anymore. I stepped out of the house. That's not true, Em. Alfred spun around. Don't. Just don't. Girls, go inside and get dressed. Sarah's coming to take you to breakfast. Mommy's here. Lisa's face lit up. She's been here all week, remember? She's staying at the hotel downtown. As the twins ran inside, Alfred slammed his trunk shut. You're really doing this, taking my kids away. I'm giving them stability, something you never provided. I'm their father. Being a father means more than just DNA, Alfred. It means showing up. It means putting their needs before your own. When's the last time you did that? He didn't answer. Sarah and I filed the custody petition yesterday. Joint custody, with primary residence rotating between us based on what's best for the girls. And what about me? You'll have supervised visitation. Once you prove you can stay sober and employed for 6 consecutive months. Alfred's face crumpled. Jade, please. I know I messed up, but they're all I have left. They were never yours to begin with. You just got lucky that I loved them enough to raise them for you. Helen appeared on the porch, her arms full of boxes. Alfred, hurry up. My mother's expecting us by noon. Where are you going? I asked. Tampa. Helen's mother has a condo there. Alfred threw another suitcase in the car. At least until I figure out what to do about Albert. What about Albert? Helen and Alfred exchanged a look. He's not giving up, Helen said. He showed up at my real estate office yesterday asking questions about family assets. I had to call security. That's not my problem. It will be if he comes after you next, Alfred said. He thinks you have access to family money. I may have mentioned the trust. Ice ran through my veins. You told Albert about my inheritance? I was desperate. He was threatening to break my legs. So you threw me under the bus. I didn't think you'd actually take the money. I stared at him. This man who'd lived in my house, eaten my food, and treated me like hired help for 4 years. Even now, facing the consequences of his own choices, he was trying to make me responsible for his problems. Get out, I said quietly. Jade, get out of my house. Now. After they left, I called Athena. Alfred told his creditor about the trust, I said. This Albert guy might come after me. I'll contact the police and let them know about the potential threat. In the meantime, I think you should know. I did some more digging into Alfred's finances. What did you find? He's been using your mother's credit cards, the ones that were never officially closed after her death. He's racked up about $30,000 in charges over the past 6 months. That's identity theft. Yes, it is. And there's something else. Remember how he claimed you were paid room and board for your services? Yeah. I found records showing he was claiming you as a dependent on his tax returns. He's been getting tax credits for supporting you while you were actually supporting his household. The audacity was breathtaking. Can we prosecute? Absolutely. I'm preparing the paperwork now. That afternoon, Sarah brought the girls back from breakfast. They seemed lighter somehow, more like the children they should have been. Mommy says we might move to a new house, Emily told me as I braided her hair, with a pool. How do you feel about that? Good, I think, as long as you visit us. Of course I'll visit, every week if you want. Promise? Promise. Sarah appeared in the doorway. Can we talk? We sat on the back porch while the girls played in the yard. I found an apartment, Sarah said, 2 bedrooms near their school. I can move in next week. That's great. I also got a job, part-time at first, but it's a start. Medical billing, something I can do from home when the girls are here. Sarah, that's amazing. I want to do this right, Jade. I want to be the mother they deserve. You will be. I keep thinking about what you said, about them just wanting to feel safe and loved. That's all any kid wants. I was so angry when I left. At Alfred, at myself, at the whole situation. I thought the girls would be better off without me. But you got help. You got clean. That takes incredible strength. I had to. When I was in rehab, all I could think about was Emily asking me why I was always so sad, and Lisa trying to take care of me when I was too high to function. They were 6 years old, Jade. 6. And they were trying to parent me. Tears ran down her cheeks. But you're here now. That's what matters. I'll never be able to repay you for what you did, taking care of them when I couldn't. You don't need to repay me. Just love them. That evening, after Sarah took the girls to their new apartment for the night, I sat in my mother's studio, the garage space she'd converted years ago. Her easel was still there, along with half-finished canvases and tubes of dried paint. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I know where you live. Alfred owes me money and now you're going to pay it. I screenshot the message and forwarded it to Athena, then called the police. But as I sat there surrounded by my mother's artwork, I wasn't scared. I was done being afraid. Alfred had made his choices and now he was facing the consequences. But he'd made one final mistake. He'd tried to drag me down with him. And I wasn't going down without a fight. Albert never showed up. The police found him 3 days later, arrested for assault at a casino downtown. Turns out he had bigger problems than Alfred's debt, like a warrant for armed robbery in Nevada. Alfred's gambling buddy was going to prison for a long time. I was in my mother's studio cleaning paintbrushes and planning my first landscape design project when Athena called with the news. The fraud charges against Alfred are moving forward, she said. The DA's office is very interested in the credit card theft and tax fraud. He's looking at serious jail time. Good. There's something else. Alfred's attorney contacted me this morning. He wants to make a deal. What kind of deal? Full confession and restitution in exchange for a reduced sentence. He's offering to pay back everything he stole, plus interest. With what money? He's broke. Helen's mother died last week, left her a substantial inheritance. Helen's willing to use it to keep Alfred out of prison. I set down the paintbrush. How substantial? Enough to cover the stolen credit card charges, the tax fraud penalties, and your legal fees. About $50,000 total. And in return? Alfred pleads guilty, does community service instead of jail time, and agrees to supervised visitation with the girls only after completing a year of addiction counselling. It was more than I'd expected, more than Alfred deserved. I'll think about it. That evening Sarah brought the girls over for dinner. We'd been doing this twice a week. Family dinners in the house where I'd grown up, where my mother had painted her dreams on canvas. "Daddy called today," Emily said as I served spaghetti. "He sounded sad." "He is sad, sweetheart, but sometimes people have to be sad before they can get better. Like, Mommy was sad before she got better." Sarah reached over and squeezed Emily's hand. "Exactly like that. Will Daddy get better too?" "I hope so," I said, "but that's up to him." After dinner, while the girls played in the living room, Sarah helped me clean dishes. "I heard about the plea deal," she said. "News travels fast. Are you going to take it?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to see him face real consequences. And the other part? The other part remembers that he's still their father, even if he's a terrible one." Sarah nodded. "For what it's worth, I think you should take the deal. Not for Alfred's sake, but for yours. You've spent enough energy on revenge. Maybe it's time to focus on building something new." She was right. I'd gotten what I wanted, my freedom, my inheritance, my life back. Alfred was facing consequences for his actions. The girls were safe and loved. What more did I need? The next morning I called Athena and accepted the deal. 2 weeks later, I was painting the guest bedroom when my father appeared in the doorway. Knock, knock. "Hey, Dad, what's up? I wanted to talk to you about something." He stepped into the room, looking nervous. "I've been thinking about what your mother said in that video, about me being a coward." "Dad!" She was right. I was so afraid of conflict that I let Helen and Alfred walk all over you. I let them turn you into a servant in your own home. I set down my paintbrush. "You were grieving. People make mistakes when they're grieving. That's not an excuse. You were grieving too, and you still took care of everyone else." "What are you trying to say?" "I'm trying to say I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself, for fighting back. Your mother would be proud too." Tears stung my eyes. Thanks, Dad." "I also wanted to tell you that I filed for divorce from Helen yesterday." "Dad, you don't have to—" "Yes, I do. I should have done it years ago. She never loved me, Jade. She loved this house and the idea of financial security, but she never loved me." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm not." He smiled, and for the first time in years, it looked genuine. "I'm thinking about selling the real estate business, maybe travelling. Your mother always wanted to see Europe. That sounds wonderful. Want to come with me? We could visit all the places she painted from photographs." The invitation caught me off guard. "I'd love that, but I have the girls to think about, and my business is just getting started. The offer stands, whenever you're ready." That afternoon I was working in the garden when a car pulled into the driveway. Sarah got out with the twins, but there was someone else with them, a woman about my age with kind eyes and a warm smile. "Jade, this is Rebecca," Sarah said. "My sponsor from AA. She's also a family therapist." "Nice to meet you," Rebecca said, shaking my hand. "Sarah's told me so much about you." "All good things, I hope. Very good things. I actually wanted to talk to you about something. I run a non-profit that helps young women aging out of foster care. We're always looking for safe houses, places where girls can stay while they get on their feet." I looked at the house, my house now, with its extra bedrooms and large kitchen. "Tell me more." We spent an hour discussing the program. Rebecca explained how they provided housing, job training, and emotional support for girls who had nowhere else to go. "It's not easy work," she warned. "These girls have been through trauma. They need patience, consistency, and unconditional support." "Sounds familiar," I said, watching Emily and Lisa play in the yard. "The state provides funding for housing and basic needs. You'd be compensated for your time and expenses." It's not about the money. I know. That's why I think you'd be perfect for this. That night I sat in my mother's studio, surrounded by her paintings and my own sketches for the landscape business I was building. The house felt different now, not like a prison, but like a sanctuary, a place where broken things could be healed. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my messages. There was one from Alfred, sent from Helen's phone. I know you'll probably delete this without reading it, but I wanted to say thank you for taking the deal, for giving me a chance to get better. I don't deserve your kindness, but I'm grateful for it. I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it without responding. Some things didn't need an answer. I opened my laptop and started typing an email to Rebecca, accepting her offer to turn part of my house into a safe haven for girls who needed a second chance. My mother's voice echoed in my memory. You were born with a spine of fire. Use it wisely. I was finally learning how. The house that had once felt like a cage was becoming something new, a place where young women could rebuild their lives, where Emily and Lisa could grow up surrounded by love, where my father could heal from years of choosing the wrong battles, and where I could finally be the person my mother had raised me to be, strong, independent, unafraid, free.